Chapter 31:10. A sword came from the universe. Master, didn't you ask me to calculate the imperial crystals? I'm here. Lin Ling looked at Xingqiu Yun and smiled. Fuck. Hearing that, the people of the tantric sect almost fell to the ground. They were in the middle of a battle, and Lin Ling was here to calculate the money. He really knows how to pick the right time. Wasn't this equivalent to admitting defeat? Chang Qingzi almost fainted on the spot. He knew that Lin Ling was crazy and couldn't be relied on. My dear disciple, your opponent is still here. Xingqiu Yun finally said with a wry smile. It's okay. After calculating the money, I'll tell him what the heavens are. Lin Ling smiled faintly, which made Xingqiu Yun frown. He felt that Lin Ling was implying something, so he looked at the mortal fairy in the distance. The people of the tantric sect also stopped looking at Lin Ling and looked forward. The moment they saw it, their pupils immediately widened like cowbells. Huh, defying the heavens? This is defying the heavens. You are under my feet now. How can you defy the heavens? Lin Ling, my 6 deadly winds taste good, right? Be my dog. The indifferent mortal fairy was waving his horsetail whisk and laughing wildly while looking at the sky. Every time he laughed, he waved his horsetail whisk excitedly. But there was no one in the sky. No, there was not even a strand of hair. What was the mortal fairy laughing about? Who was he attacking? The people of the Xian sect were all dumbfounded. Mortal fairy, attack. What are you doing? One of the 4 heavenly kings of the Xian sect shouted angrily. The mortal fairy was too embarrassing. Because Lin Ling was calculating the money, he didn't attack Lin Ling. Instead, he roared at the sky like a madman. Was he kicked in the head by a donkey? However, it would have been better if the heavenly king hadn't shouted. After the heavenly king shouted, the mortal fairy became even more graceful, as if she had already won. White jade capital in the sky, 12 towers and 5 cities. Immortals touch my head, and I live forever. Reciting a poem. The martial artists on the plain were all dumbfounded. The mortal fairy seemed to be crazy. In fact, in the mortal fairy's eyes, Lin Ling had already knelt down and begged for mercy. He even kowtowed and admitted defeat. In the Xian sect, everyone was on one knee and looked at the mortal fairy with admiration. That was all he saw. This made the mortal fairy a famous person in Xian Zong. Thousands of years later, his legend would spread throughout the spirit province. Therefore, he recited a poem to make himself look like an immortal. Of course, this was all an illusion. Heavenly kings of the heavenly kings of the heavenly kings. Wasn't this the demonic art of the heavenly kings of the heavenly kings of the Xian Tzovs? Moreover, compared to the past, today's demonic technique was even more terrifying. Not only did it conjure the mortal fairy, but it also conjured the 6 evils wind. As expected of a heaven-defying existence. Est. Lin Ling said as he walked toward the mortal fairy. Seeing this, the people of the Xian sect all had goosebumps. This battle was too weird. They looked at Lin Ling as if they were looking at a real immortal who could dominate everything. Mortal fairy, what are you doing? They hurried to remind the mortal fairy, but it was useless. Lin Ling had arrived behind the mortal fairy and looked at her calmly. The mortal fairy was still reciting a poem with her hands behind her back. This scene undoubtedly made everyone want to laugh. Of course, while he was laughing, the fear in his heart was like a monstrous wave. Lin Ling's method was too terrifying. Although I don't need a punch or a whip to defeat you, I only need one move from the illusion god's true inheritance. Lin Ling reached out his arm and grabbed the mortal fairy's neck. Then, he slammed her into the ground. Bang! The ground cracked open. The entire plain was silent. Many people were excited. Secondly, they were from the illusion god sect. Today, the illusion god's true inheritance reappeared in the world, proving how powerful it was. Fighting against elite geniuses, his feet didn't occupy the ground, and his hands didn't touch the clouds on the horizon. It was that easy. The illusion god's true inheritance, what kind of martial art is that? It's too heaven-defying. Then, the plain was filled with excited voices. The three sons of the Qi family knelt down in excitement. Qi Shi kept kowtowing to Lin Ling. In the past, he asked Lin Ling for help. Today, Lin Ling let the illusion god shine on the spirit province. Junior brother Lin. Qi Yu and Qi Yang also knelt down and kowtowed. This favor was heavier than the heavens, and it would be difficult to repay it. Bang! The ground continued to shake. The mortal fairy spat out blood and was defeated. However, he was still reciting a poem, still immersed in the illusion. This showed how powerful the illusion god's true inheritance was. It could be said that he had entered a reincarnated illusion. Finally, he said weakly, "Why am I suddenly injured? Could it be that I have gone mad?" Boom! As soon as his voice fell, the plain exploded, and the spirit province shook. This was because Lin Ling was right in front of the mortal fairy, and he had defeated him and injured him. The mortal fairy also sensed it, but he still didn't know that it was Lin Ling who attacked. "I am your sky." At this moment, Lin Ling stomped his foot again. With a bang, 100-meter tall wave of earth rushed out from the ground, and the mortal fairy spat out blood again. He was seriously injured. At this moment, he finally woke up. When he saw Lin Ling in front of him, his eyes widened. His heart, his soul, and his everything was trembling. This was because after he woke up, he vaguely guessed something. Bang! Unfortunately, it was too late. He fainted. Before he fainted, the only thought he had was that Lin Ling didn't use a punch. He defeated him with a whip, but it was only a single move. Next. Before Xian Zong's surprised voice could be heard, Lin Ling spoke first. The plain was silent, and the Xian Zong was even more silent. Even the Azure Dragon Hall was the same. Lin Ling, who was at the 8th stage of the martial immortal realm, had consecutively defeated 3 opponents in a single move. At this moment, they couldn't help but think that Lin Ling was indeed a heaven-defying existence. "Is it my turn?" Zhang Qinghong walked forward step by step. When Lin Ling arrived, he was the first to laugh at Lin Ling. Now, he realized that Lin Ling was somewhat unfathomable. "Use your strongest sword move." Lin Ling looked at him calmly and said. "An 8th stage of the martial immortal realm can block my sword?" Zhang Qinghong's expression was extremely serious. He realized that Lin Ling was even more difficult to deal with than Chang Qingzi. As for Chang Qingzi in the distance, he secretly clenched his fists. He was more nervous than anyone else, and there was a bitter smile at the corner of his mouth. Although he didn't know if Lin Ling could defeat Zhang Qinghong, the strength that Lin Ling had displayed really left him speechless. That was because the Tantric sect's accumulated resources did not disappoint anyone. Of course, if Lin Ling could defeat Zhang Qinghong, the Tantric sect would no longer have any doubts about Lin Ling. "In terms of swordsmanship, you're still not worthy of my attention." At this moment, Lin Ling waved the tyrannical song sword behind him and said calmly while pointing at Zhang Qinghong. "I hope that you won't disappoint me." Zhang Qinghong's Qinghong divine sword also appeared. A divine rainbow descended, and its luster illuminated the world. Chapter 31:11. Swords from the Gods. At this moment, Chang Qingzi clenched his fists tightly. Zhang Qinghong's sword contained 50% of his power. In addition, he was a 4th stage half-saint. He was much stronger than Lin Ling in every aspect. He wondered if Lin Ling would be able to block that sword. There is a sword, freely coming from the universe. Finally, in the thick clouds, a ray of light illuminated the earth like the sun. The divine sword had arrived. Before the sword landed, the spirit province was already collapsing. This sword strike is the proudest sword strike of my entire life. Zhang Qinghong let out a cold voice. Perhaps because of the pressure, he, the number one swordsman of the spirit province, unleashed his most dazzling sword. Whoosh! The sword was very fast, faster than light. A god stepped on a rainbow and slashed down with his sword. It was as if he wanted to separate the spirit province from the universe, forming a dividing line. The power of this sword was second in the spirit province. No one dared to claim that they were first. Clang! Lin Ling also raised his sword, but it was clearly difficult for him to resist the divine sword in the sky. Lin Ling's surroundings instantly split open and floated up, causing Lin Ling's surroundings to become chaotic. Rumble. The deafening sound continued to ring. The people of the Tantric sect clenched their fists. They knew that Lin Ling would be unable to resist. The people of the illustrious sect finally smiled. They were very happy. That was because Zhang Qinghong had 3 swords throughout his life. The third sword was the most terrifying. It was the sword of the divine rainbow that was summoned from the chaos of the universe. Lin Ling, you've lost. Seeing Lin Ling's aura weakening, Zhang Qinghong smiled faintly. There is a sword that comes from the gods. However, at this moment, Lin Ling's voice also floated out, causing Zhang Qinghong to be stunned. His sword came from the universe, but Lin Ling's sword was even more terrifying. It came from the gods. Of course, he also thought that Lin Ling was just making a last-ditch effort and was just boasting. Tantric Buddhism, you must be very disappointed in me because I've only reached the 8th level of the martial immortal realm despite exhausting all my cultivation resources, right? At this moment, Lin Ling spoke again. The people of Tantric Buddhism were silent, but they were silently agreeing with Lin Ling. I've said it before. Xing Shiyun is my master, and Tantric Buddhism is my home. When it comes to my home, my family, and my friends, I've never let them down. In the past, now, and in the future, it will always be the same. Lin Ling's voice became louder and louder. Hearing that, Xing Shiyun clenched her fists in excitement. Yu Yu and the others also smiled. They knew that Lin Ling was indeed such a person. Let me show you 3 months of bitter cultivation. Lin Ling raised his head and looked at the divine sword in the sky. Under the stimulation of the divine sword, the spiritual energy that was brewing in his dantian was now surging with monstrous waves. His 4 dantians began to move. His first dantian had broken through to the 9th level of the martial immortal realm. Lin Ling was originally blocking the sky with his sword, but at this moment, he slowly raised it. What? He broke through. There was no one who wasn't shocked when they saw that. Zhang Qinghong was the same. However, he shook his head. It was only a small level. It was impossible for him to block his divine sword. However, just as this thought appeared in his mind, the sword in Lin Ling's hand was raised higher and higher. Surging realm essence was gushing out. This was not the realm essence of a 9th level martial immortal. At this moment, the entire spirit province was rumbling because of Lin Ling's realm essence. 9th level martial immortal. Is that all? Lin Ling began to walk toward the sky. Could it be? As soon as he said that, the Tantric Sama suddenly became excited. Could it be that Lin Ling was going to break through 2 levels in a row? One should know that breaking through to the martial immortal realm was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. For thousands of people to break through to the 1st level, it would take an endless amount of time. As for breaking through to the 2nd level, it would take twice as long. As for breaking through 2 levels in a row, that only appeared in legends. Impossible. Zhang Qinghong also let out a furious roar. Nothing is impossible in front of a genius like me. Lin Ling's hair danced wildly as the tyrannical song sword clashed with the godly sword in the sky. His voice was like thunder. The realm essence in his body became even more frenzied, as if it had formed a black hole. Under the external force, his four dantians were even clashing with each other. This formed an indescribable force. Boom! When this force completely exploded, the sky was filled with stars and surging realm essence. 10th level martial immortal realm. Breaking through 2 levels in a row. Furthermore, the four dantians were all at the 10th level of the martial immortal realm. When they combined, the strength of the realm essence was like 4 10th level martial immortal realm experts working together. The devil is the god, and the god is the devil. At the same time, a lonely wind drifted out from behind Lin Ling. A headless old man appeared. He held a broken sword in his hand and looked through the sky like a god. There is a sword that comes from the gods. Whoosh! The new sword was sparkling and resplendent as it slashed through the sky. 30% of the demonic sword stage against 50% of the godly rainbow stage. It was a fierce battle between 2 swordsmen in the sky. Clang! The demonic sword was majestic. How could the universe compare to God? The sky was immediately split open. The rolling dark clouds were split open by the sword. The blue sky appeared again, and light shone in all directions. Clang! The crisp sound of a sword breaking could be heard at this moment. At the same time, broken swords began to fall from the sky. They were sparkling and extremely beautiful. Pooh! At the same time, Zhang Qinghong spat out a mouthful of blood. The godly rainbow sword in his hand broke into pieces. He stared at the sky as if he could not believe what was happening. God and the universe. At this moment, he knew who was stronger. My world is not something you can understand. This sentence also lingered in his ears, causing his gaze to turn. He stared at the blue-robed young man. At this moment it was as if he was not looking at the genius of the spirit state, but a dazzling genius of the 9 states. He was like an ant, while the blue-robed young man was like an eagle. I lost. In the silence, Zhang Qinghong threw away the broken sword in his hand. As if he had lost all will, he lowered his head and turned to leave. There was always someone better than you, and a mountain higher than you. Today, he understood this point. Everyone from the Xian sect had their mouths wide open. They had no choice but to admit that the sword was so amazing. At this moment, no one dared to laugh at Lin Ling. Lin Ling was a monster among monsters. As for the Tantric sect, they were silent. The middle-aged man who wanted to kill Lin Ling looked at the proud figure in the sky in a daze. In the end, he knelt down with a thud and kowtowed. I'm sorry. I wronged you before. Seeing him like this, everyone in the Tantric sect was stunned. Then, one by one, they knelt down. I'm sorry. Their neat voices spread throughout the spirit state. After Lin Ling came out of seclusion, they saw that Lin Ling's realm did not increase at all. Therefore, they looked down on Lin Ling. They blamed Lin Ling, but Lin Ling did not say anything. It was as if he wanted facts to prove everything. However, they did not plan to give Lin Ling a chance at all. Now, they finally knew how terrifying Lin Ling, who had used up all the cultivation resources of the Tantric sect, was. He did not let down the Tantric sect at all. Xingxiu Yun is my master. The Tantric sect is my home. I will definitely fight for them. Chapter 31:12. The battle for first place. Illuminating the spirit province. The final battle is here. The Tantric sect's lord smiled as he looked at the sky. However, his eyes were moist and tears were flowing down his cheeks. That was because the Tantric sect's trump card was Lin Ling. Lin Ling, defeat Xiang Anning. Chang Qingzi roared. At that moment, he had wholeheartedly admitted that Lin Ling was the Tantric sect's ultimate weapon. Clang! In the sky, the blue-robed youth cast his indifferent gaze at the scholar from the Xian sect. The number one genius of the spirit province. Let's fight. After defeating you, I'll defeat all the geniuses of the 9 provinces. The blue-robed youth's heroic voice let everyone know that the blue-robed youth did not care about the number one genius of the spirit province at all. The battle of the pinnacle had begun. Woo-woo. Wind whistled from the ground. It was cold and ancient. Xiang Anning raised his head and looked at Lin Ling. He slowly stepped forward. He had finally walked out. This was the number one genius of the spirit province who had never used his true strength. Until now, no one knew how powerful he was. However, to be called the number one genius of the spirit province, his strength was naturally not to be underestimated. Of course, as the Tantric sect's ultimate trump card, Lin Ling was also an existence that could not be underestimated. That was because in the previous 4 battles, Lin Ling defeated the strongest geniuses of the Xian sect with a punch, a whip, a move, and a sword respectively. In addition, he was able to break through 2 stages in a row. His battle prowess was not something a martial immortal should have. Therefore, if Lin Ling fought Xiang Anning, he might not be defeated easily. At the beginning, I thought you were an ant. However, I've clearly underestimated you. Xiang Anning said calmly as he floated in the sky. In fact, he was also shocked by the strength Lin Ling displayed. However, he had come back from the 9 prefectures and had seen many peerless geniuses. Therefore, this kind of surprise quickly disappeared without a trace. He estimated that Lin Ling could fight against an initial stage half-saint, but it would be difficult for him to fight against a middle stage half-saint. I'm a 5th layer half-saint. Xiang Anning spread open his arms. Unparalleled realm essence spread out like clouds, lingering around him like the waves of the sea, surging and moving. My talent is a grade 4 desolate body, 100 great bloodline, sea deity bloodline. Xiang Anning said again. He actually had the bloodline of the sea god, which was on par with the foreign races Lin Ling had encountered in Dragon Tooth City. You, Lin Ling, are the number one genius of Tantric Buddhism and the ultimate weapon. I admit this. However, I find it laughable that you said you were a heaven-defying existence. You don't know what kind of opponents I've faced in the 9 continents, nor do you know what the 10 heavenly lords are. Xiang Anning said as he looked at the distant sky. In his opinion, the 10 heavenly lords were the true peerless geniuses and heaven-defying disciples. The 10 Directions Celestial Monarch. The top genius I met in Yuzhou. How could Xiang Anning know him? Others did not know who the 10 Directions Celestial Monarch was, but Tantric Buddhism and the 4 heavenly kings did. Their expressions changed drastically. The 10 Directions Celestial Monarch was a genius of the 9 continents. He was a sage. Apart from Yen and Miao continents, he had the aura to sweep through all the other divine continents. I was undefeated after 300 moves against him. Xiang Anning said again. Tantric Buddhism and the others were even more surprised. They did not expect Xiang Anning to have reached such heights in the spirit continent. Lin Ling was indifferent. He did not know the 10 Directions Celestial Monarch because he was not a genius from the era of geniuses like Li Xiaoyao. You seem like an ignorant person. Forget it. You don't know the 10 Directions Celestial Monarch, but you must have heard of the fighting for Light Cicada. The 10 Directions Celestial Monarch is his disciple. Xiang Anning said with a smile when he saw Lin Ling's expressionless face. Lin Ling's eyes finally flickered. Obviously, Lin Ling had heard of the fighting for Light Cicada. Fighting for Light Cicada, quasi-martial god. Of course, compared to Lin Ling's emotions, the entire spirit continent was in turmoil. The spirit continent was not like Qin continent. Most people knew who the experts of the 9 continents were. They had heard of the fighting for Light Cicada. That was because the fighting for Light Cicada was a genius whose name had shaken the 9 continents. It was said that he had only lost once among his peers. Later on, he rose rapidly and became a martial god master. Although he had not fully stepped into the martial god realm, his strength was undeniable. No wonder the 10-direction celestial monarch was so strong. He was the fighting for light cicada's disciple. I see. At this moment, Lin Ling spoke with a faint smile. He did not know the 10-direction celestial monarch, but he knew the fighting for light cicada. That was because he was a genius from Li Xiaoyao's era. Unfortunately, he had lost to Li Xiaoyao. Let's fight. Clang. Lin Ling did not waste time. The tyrannical song sword appeared in his hand. Great Ocean Spirit Rhinoceros. Seeing that Lin Ling's emotions only fluctuated slightly, Xiang Anning was clearly unhappy. He had said so much before because he wanted Lin Ling to know his inferiority. Being able to have the last laugh in the spirit continent did not mean that he could do it in the 9 continents. He pointed with his finger. The waves around his body rolled and turned into a finger like countless tentacles, attacking Lin Ling. What was terrifying was that although the waves were huge, they were not messy. Xiang Anning controlled them to perfection. From this, it could be seen that the title of the number 1 genius of the spirit continent was not undeserved. Seeing this, Lin Ling moved and exploded with the speed of 40 worlds, dodging the first finger of the waves. It's useless. Xiang Anning shook his head. He did not care about this speed. He stepped on the waves as if he was riding the wind and breaking the waves. Strangely, his speed did not seem fast, but he could instantly pass through 10,000 worlds. He actually moved closely behind Lin Ling, and this was the speed of 50 worlds. I'm not good at speed, but I'm still above you. A disdainful voice floated out at the same time. Xiang Anning pulled his right hand behind his back, and a finger of the sea attacked Lin Ling like a tentacle. Is that so? While the people of the Tantric sect were worried, Lin Ling shook his head. The speed of 40 worlds had quietly increased, becoming faster and swifter. 45 world speed? Seeing this, Xing Suiyun gasped. Could it be that Lin Ling increased his speed during the battle? No, it's at least 47 world speed. The Tantric sect's eyes narrowed. Furthermore, what terrified them the most was that this was not the end. Lin Ling continued to swim through the sea as if he was surrounded by danger. He avoided the fingers that were formed by the sea, and in the end, his speed reached the speed of 50 worlds. With this speed, not to mention the naked eye, even the heavenly eye technique could not see through it. Great, with 50 world speed, Lin Ling is in an invincible position. The Tantric sect's masters were overjoyed. In fact, although Lin Ling was the ultimate weapon of the Tantric sect, they were not confident that he could defeat the number 1 genius of the spirit continent. Chapter 31:13. The Ultimate Weapon. Using a battle to nurture a battle. Compared to the shock of the crowd, Xiang Anning appeared very calm. His hands formed a complicated seal, causing the surrounding sea to appear. At the same time, a palm formed by the divine sea also slammed towards Lin Ling. Let's see how you block this. Boundless ocean. The huge palm was sparkling and resplendent, but with a rumbling sound, it was no weaker than the sea of 10,000 realms. The bloodline of the sea god was a talent that allowed one to control 10,000 seas. Naturally, it was no small matter. At this moment, Lin Ling lifted his head and stared at Xiang Anning, who was surrounded by the ocean. He knew that Xiang Anning was not weak. Among his peers in the spirit state, he was probably the most difficult opponent to deal with. However, right now, Lin Ling really needed to nurture himself through battle. He needed to stimulate all the spiritual energy in his body and step into a new realm. Tyrannical Singing Sword. Once again dodging the ocean finger, Lin Ling's sword slashed towards the huge palm. Rumble. At this moment, the demonic sword stage erupted with a power that could destroy everything. A sharp sword slashed out. However, this sword strike did not have much of an effect at this moment. Even though Lin Ling's 4 dantians had fused into the sword, the effect was still the same. This was because Xiang Anning's cultivation realm far surpassed Lin Ling's. In addition, his talent was not weak, and his ultimate martial Dao was extremely sharp. Thus, Lin Ling's methods were not very effective. Xiang Anping was also an all-round genius. Rumble. The gigantic palm of the ocean was already within sight. Everyone could see that Lin Ling seemed to be unable to resist it and was about to be submerged by the ocean at any moment. Hee hee. But at this moment, Lin Ling laughed instead. That's more like it. Because the spirit energy within his body was continuously being refined by the enormous pressure. Moreover, his 4 dantians didn't have time to devour it, so a large amount of spirit energy surged into his body, causing his fiend god physique to improve madly. Roar! The dragon god roared and shot up into the air, hovering behind Lin Ling, looking incredibly awe-inspiring. At the same time, strange images appeared behind Lin Ling as a huge mouth appeared, ready to devour everything. More than half of the negative effects brought about by the sea god's power were instantly devoured. One had to know that in the ocean, even if one's movement technique was very fast, it would definitely be greatly reduced. This was the power of the realm-swallowing beast. At this moment, the realm-devouring beast's talent had also stepped into the ranks of a second-grade desolate body. Strength of the dragon. A steady stream of energy flowed into his body, causing Lin Ling to immediately let out a roar. He brandished his greatsword like a divine dragon swinging its tail. He was a triple cultivator of essence, energy, and spirit. In the realm of essence, he had finally stepped into a new world. His strength had also reached 300 world force. Together with the merging of the 4 dantians, the slash instantly slashed the giant palm in half. Terrifying realm essence was gushing out, causing everyone in the spirit state to be greatly shocked. Lin Ling was so ferocious. One had to know that that was the power of a 5th-grade half-saint, while Lin Ling was only a martial immortal. You're quite capable. Xiang Anning's expression turned ugly. He did not expect Lin Ling to have really broken through, and he had done so with the help of his attack. Therefore, his movement technique was like flowing water. Tens of thousands of palms appeared, shattering the void and blasting toward Lin Ling. That terrifying attack could probably cause the spirit state to collapse. However, Lin Ling still had a smile on his face. He activated 50 world speed, bypassed Xiang Anning, and appeared behind him. The great sword in his hand then slashed out horizontally, turning into a sparkling and resplendent sword ray. This sword was mixed with the power of the demon sword. If it hit Xiang Anning, he would definitely be injured. However, as expected of the number 1 genius of the spirit state, Xiang Anning's battle experience was extremely rich. He shouted coldly, "I've said that you're only slightly capable." As his voice drifted out, he seemed to flow with the current. Not only did he avoid Lin Ling's fatal attack, but he also appeared behind Lin Ling strangely. A spear formed by the sea attacked Lin Ling's back like lightning. Terrifying realm essence fluctuations came from behind him, causing Lin Ling's smile to become even wider. He did not plan to avoid anything. Without even looking behind him, he slashed out horizontally with his sword. You'd better use your full strength. Otherwise, after I completely awaken, you won't have any chance. At the same time, Lin Ling's left hand grabbed out. On his arm, black lightning struck out. It was Little Kunlun. Little Kunlun could strike out the opponent's talent. This was the nightmare of all cultivators. Seeing this, the tantric sex lord and the others shouted wildly. Lin Ling seemed to have grasped the opportunity. He might be able to win. Humph. However, Xiang Anning coldly snorted. He was not afraid at all and allowed the black lightning to strike. With a bang, the water wave was blown apart by the whip. Little Kunlun was actually attacking the sea. This whip was clearly dodged by Xiang Anning. A very heaven-defying treasure, but it can't hit its target. What's the use of it? Xiang Anning's voice sounded from the other side. The sea spear was still shooting towards Lin Ling. From this, it could be seen that this person was indeed difficult to deal with. He actually managed to break Lin Ling's little Kunlun. This was also the first time little Kunlun had failed after attacking. However, little Kunlun was intelligent. It did not use the techniques that it had always been good at. It was clearly furious. The vines rushed into the sky and grew wildly, turning the entire sky into a primeval forest. This shocking scene was extremely vast. It was an eye-opener for countless cultivators in the spirit state. However, Xiang Anning weaved through the vines like waves of water, once again avoiding all the vines. As for the spear, it still did not retreat a single step. Instead, it shone with a cold light. 1,000 transformations. In the blink of an eye, Lin Ling let out a low roar. His soul power spread out like water, and an illusion appeared. This soul martial art had released endless light before, but it did not have any effect at this moment. Your soul martial art has a fatal flaw. After you use it, if you're 1,000 miles away, you won't be affected at all. However, to me, 1,000 miles is only a breath's time. I don't even need a breath's time. The sea still filled the sky, as if it was Xiang Anning's home ground. He moved with the water and disappeared 1,000 miles away. The illusion was broken by him again. Moreover, just as the illusion disappeared, he shot towards Lin Ling like an arrow, his spear like the sea. Time and space divine steel. Seeing this, Lin Ling let out a light roar. A divine steel fell from the sky to resist the spear. Rumble. The two strongest geniuses of the spirit province clashed once again. One of them held a giant sword while the other held a blue long spear. They moved faster than the speed of light, and a myriad of techniques continued to be used, causing the battle to become extremely intense. I didn't expect the tantric sect's final weapon, Lin Ling, to be so powerful. Lin Ling, do your best. Everyone in the tantric sect was shocked. Even if Chang Qingzi was sent out, he would not be able to fight until now. However, Lin Ling could, using various methods, fight evenly with Xiang Anning. Most importantly, Lin Ling was only a 10th stage martial immortal. What if he was at the same level as Xiang Anning? The result was obvious. Chapter 31:14. The Tribulation of a Saint. Who is this Lin Ling? Where did he come from? His methods are unpredictable and incomparably sharp. If this continues, the spirit state will be his. Over at Xianzong's side, everyone's expression was solemn. They did not expect Lin Ling to become more ferocious as the battle went on. Lord Xianzong looked gloomily at the sky. The corner of his mouth moved slightly, and a voice transmission was quietly sent out. This caused Xiang Anning's eyes to flicker, and he nodded lightly. In fact, even without Lord Xianzong's reminder, he did not intend to hold back anymore. Lord Xianzong's voice was precisely for Xiang Anning to kill Lin Ling. This was because even if Lin Ling was defeated today, and Xianzong could become the #1 in the spirit state as he wished, Lin Ling would definitely make a comeback in the future. With the strength that Lin Ling had displayed so far, no one could guarantee how terrifying his future would be. It's time to end this. Therefore, Xiang Anning did not hesitate and finally revealed his trump card. Woo woo woo. The clouds in the sky seemed to have been summoned by something. The clouds parted, revealing the pitch-black chaos of the universe. In the chaos, tadpole-like shadows swam down, majestic and extremely orderly. These shadows looked like souls, but they seemed to be much more powerful than ordinary souls. It was a strange thing that lingered between a soul and a dead spirit. As those shadows got closer and closer to the ground, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. Even the experts in the late stage of the half-saint realm felt this way. One of the 100 great bloodlines, the god of the underworld talent. Someone finally let out a solemn voice. It's at least a 5th grade one. Even Xian Zong's people were shocked. What, 2 talents? One is a 4th grade desolate body, and the other is a 5th grade desolate body. Lord Tantric Buddhism stared at the sky and realized that the color of the surrounding ocean had changed, becoming pitch black. It was no longer an ocean, but more like the netherworld sea. Was this Xiang Anning's hidden trump card? Moreover, a 5th grade desolate body was the strongest talent in the spirit state. At this moment, everyone was worried for Lin Ling. With the addition of countless underworld souls, the power of the ocean became even more terrifying. Not only was it majestic, it was also mixed with the power of Yin. Because these were souls that had truly been extracted from the netherworld. As for the underworld, it was the origin of all hell and the myriad of worlds, and it was also the origin of all ghost realms. In the 9 states, many experts also possessed talents from the underworld. Each of these experts was an indomitable figure. As for the spirit state, there were a few people who also possessed the aura of the underworld, such as Sakura and Meng Lu. Their talents were actually related to the underworld. Lin Ling, I was just playing with you before. Now, let's test my strength. Xiang Anning's eyes turned pitch black. His palm, like the boundless ocean, pressed down on Lin Ling. This made Lin Ling instantly feel a great amount of pressure. Xiang Anning's realm essence was even more turbulent at this moment, causing the black ocean to emit a cold aura. This cold aura was not cold, but it could penetrate a person's soul. Furthermore, any warrior who was close to the ocean would be frozen, turning into a black ice sculpture. The most terrifying thing was that a shadow would shoot out from the ice sculpture, taking away the warrior's soul. Clearly, after using the 2 talents at the same time, not only did his strength increase significantly, the most terrifying thing was those underworld souls. With this, I can block the 10 heavenly lords. Xiang Anning's voice reverberated in the ocean. This was the foundation of his battle against the geniuses of the 9 states. Splash! The black ocean, under the gigantic palm, crossed the sky, the ruins, and even the entire spirit state. Ka ka ka. Wherever the ocean passed, everything in the world would be frozen, turning into black statues. Those statues were people, objects, and even a stalk of grass. At this moment it was frozen, but because it turned into black ice, it seemed to be baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It was very ferocious. Among them, there was a statue holding a large sword and carrying an ancient sword on its back. At this moment, it had also turned into a statue. That person was Lin Ling. Seeing this, the people from the Azure Dragon Hall sighed. The outcome has been decided. Sigh, I have to say that this Lin Ling is also a rare genius in the spirit state. Unfortunately, his cultivation is still a bit weak. If he had reached the martial immortal realm, today's situation would be different. Yeah, seeing the 2 strongest geniuses clash, no matter who dies, this is a huge loss to the spirit state. It makes our hearts ache. Compared to the Azure Dragon Hall's pity, the people from the Xian sect were ecstatic. Cheers spread out like waves. Their Xian sect won. The era belonged to their Xian sect. Some of the more impatient people even roared at the sky, Senior Xiang, the #1 genius of the spirit state. Their voices soared into the sky and spread through the clouds. As for the people from the Tantric sect, their faces were gloomy. However, they did not blame Lin Ling because they saw that Lin Ling had done his best. At least, if it was someone else, they would not even be able to block 3 of Xiang Anning's attacks. Their Tantric sect's ultimate weapon had been defeated. However, just as everyone thought that the outcome was over, all the ice statues on the ground started to tremble. Moreover, the trembling became faster and faster. Finally, the black ice statues started to tremble. At this moment, cracks appeared in the black ice world that was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. This shocked everyone. They realized that the source of the trembling of the black ice world seemed to be within one of the ice statues, and that ice statue was Lin Ling. At this moment, inside the ice statue, Lin Ling was motionless. Although the nether souls rushed into his body and tried to devour him, his powerful soul power immediately rushed out and formed a soul wave. It shook the nether souls and even devoured them. Although the nether souls were of a higher level than the undead souls, the number of nether souls that entered his body was not large. Therefore, it was much easier and faster to deal with them compared to the last time in the Qing state. On the contrary, with the help of the nether souls and the pressure outside his body, Lin Ling's dantian was boiling. His 4 dantians spun like comets and crazily absorbed the spiritual energy in his dantian. As expected, with the stimulation of external forces, it's faster than breaking through on my own. The corner of Lin Ling's mouth curled into a cold smile. Boom! His dantian exploded with a roar. The light of a saint gushed out of his body like a tide and a wave. First level half-saint. Rumble. At the same time, a huge bolt of lightning came crashing down from the sky. This bolt of lightning was white, but it carried the pressure of a god. This was the tribulation of a saint. Every expert who wanted to break through to the half-saint realm would have to go through the trial of a god. If they passed, they would become a saint. If they failed, they would be reduced to ashes and could not even enter the cycle of reincarnation. Someone has broken through to the half-saint realm. It looks like Lin Ling. A series of exclamations could be heard. The eyes of the tantric sex elders were wide open. Even Xiang Anning was the same. Chapter 31:15. A battle in broad daylight. The ferocious lightning struck down as if a palm had struck the earth, forming a storm. Cracks appeared on the black ice sculpture world. The sage tribulation tested 3 key factors. First, talent. Those who were not talented enough would face a 10% increase in danger if they forcefully broke through. Second, ultimate martial arts. Those who were not good at martial arts would face another 10% increase in danger. Third, a solid foundation of cultivation. If they were not strong in all 3 factors, then breaking through depended on luck. Boom! However, after the first bolt of lightning struck, Lin Ling was actually unscathed. He was like an ice sculpture, steady and unmoving. This surprised the tantric sect masters and the others. However, the tribulation clouds in the sky did not disperse. Instead, they became thicker and thicker, as if a god had arrived and looked at the common people. His large hand struck down again. The second bolt of lightning struck, and divine thunder rumbled. Everyone in the spirit state was in a state of panic. Because only one tribulation was needed to become a sage, but Lin Ling had to undergo 2. What did this mean? Could it be that the gods valued Lin Ling more? Rumble. The second sage tribulation struck, and the black ice around Lin Ling's body finally cracked. Rumble. However, the third tribulation followed closely behind. In fact, the third and fourth tribulation struck at the same time. For tribulation sage lightning. The spirit state was completely silent. Looking at the history of the spirit state, Lin Ling was the only one who had 4 tribulations. The more sage tribulations he had, the more potential and strength Lin Ling had. Rumble. After the final 2 lightning tribulations struck, no one knew if Lin Ling would be unscathed. Instead, a dazzling light appeared in front of him. An endless pool of lightning wreaked havoc, causing the entire black ice world to crack. Moreover, shattered ice shot into the sky and then fell down like rain. Did he succeed? Someone said solemnly. This was the tribulation of 4 saints. How could an ordinary person cross this tribulation? At the same time, after the world of black ice collapsed, a figure slowly walked out. He was holding an ancient sword, and flames were burning on his body, forming billowing steam. This made him look extremely unreal, but people could clearly see that in this illusory scene, a pair of extremely sharp eyes appeared. This caused the hearts of the Mi and Xian sects to explode. Lin Ling had successfully broken through. Another half-saint had been born in the spirit province. Moreover, based on the saint's tribulation, it was obvious that this was no ordinary half-saint stage powerhouse. Xiang Anning, thank you for helping me break through. Now, do you want to die, or do you want me to solve it for you? Finally, the sound of footsteps could be heard. Lin Ling walked out step by step. His saint's light was extremely dense. It actually caused Xiang Anning's legs to tremble and he couldn't straighten his back. Even if he was at the 5th stage of the half-saint stage and had two desolate physiques, he felt like he wasn't looking at a half-saint, but a real saint in front of Lin Ling's saint's light. He couldn't understand why Lin Ling, who was only at the 1st stage of the half-saint stage, could give him such pressure. How could he know that Lin Ling's 4 dantians had all entered the 1st stage of the half-saint stage? His boundary essence was terrifying. It wasn't weaker than the 4th stage of the half-saint stage. In fact, because of the fusion, it had already far surpassed the 4th stage of the half-saint stage. The victor hasn't been decided yet. Lin Ling, I'll let you see my peerless move. The move that injured the 10 heavenly lords and was praised by senior battling cicada of light. Roar. Suddenly, Xiang Anning roared at the sky. No one knew what he was chanting, but a mysterious symbol appeared on his forehead. His entire body also darkened. This made Sakra and the underworld god, who also had one of the 100 bloodlines, deeply feel the terrifying pressure. At this moment, a mysterious aura spread out from Xiang Anning's body. His cultivation level rose like a boat, reaching 70%. The black netherworld sea surged again, but it didn't engulf Lin Ling. Instead, it lingered in the sky and gradually formed a huge black hole. From the black hole, the aura of the underworld quietly spread out. That was the smell of death. That was the tomb of a saint. One had to know that saints didn't enter the ghost realm, the 6 paths of reincarnation, or the 9 serenities and 18 levels of hell because they were saints. However, when the black hole appeared, even saints trembled with fear. Martial arts of the underworld. Lin Ling raised his head and looked at the black hole indifferently. In his mind, he recalled a martial art that he had learned in the rainforest sacred land. The 6 paths of reincarnation. What Xiang Anning was using wasn't the 6 paths of reincarnation, but the underworld reincarnation. Heavens, that's the underworld reincarnation. Isn't that the underworld god's martial art? Where did Xiang Anning get such a martial art? He's going to become the underworld god and become the god of the gods era. I'm afraid that not more than 30% of the people in the semi-sage realm can block this move from the looks of it. The entire spirit state was shocked. Some experts with the strength of saints had also guessed what Xiang Anning was using. Then, they quickly looked at Lin Ling. If it was the previous Xiang Anning, Lin Ling might be able to defeat him, but the current Xiang Anning was a bit difficult. Unless Lin Ling was also hiding something. Fine, underworld and Buddha can't coexist. At this moment, Lin Ling's long hair was dancing wildly. His strength was also stimulated to the peak. After reaching the half-saint realm, he also wanted to test the power of the great solar calamity bow. I see that the people of the world are walking in the boundless dust. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on. They don't know how long they can live in glory and splendor. The ancient Buddhist voice, like a heavenly dragon protecting the Dharma, quietly sounded in the spirit state. A golden light shone in all directions. In Lin Ling's hand, a 5-meter-long divine dragon bow descended. This, Lin Ling still has some tricks up his sleeve. Fuck, a 5-meter-long bow, and the entire bow is made of dragon bones. Isn't it too impressive? Lin Ling, as expected of the ultimate weapon of the Tantric Buddhism. Seeing the ferocious dragon bone and incomparably huge dragon bow, the entire spirit state was in an uproar. Even the saints of the Azure Dragon Hall had extremely serious expressions. They had always thought highly of Xiang Anning, but now, there was another name in the world in their hearts, and that was Lin Ling. I think this battle should be stopped. A saint said. Because both of them were the most outstanding geniuses of the spirit state, losing either one of them was something they didn't want to see. The battle has already reached its climax. I'm afraid it'll be very difficult. However, another saint sighed. At this point it was likely that Lin Ling and Xiang Anning wouldn't withdraw so easily. That's right, only one person can be the number one genius of the spirit state. It was even more impossible for Xian Zong to keep Lin Ling, so they all agreed. As for the Tantric Buddhism, they wanted to stop this battle, but they also knew that it was impossible. Therefore, they all turned their gazes to the majestic dragon bow, and their hearts were filled with anticipation. At this moment, Lin Ling, who was in the sky, was undoubtedly extremely extraordinary. Chapter 31:16. Two Arrows Shooting Reincarnation. I have to admit that you, Lin Ling, are indeed impressive. You have all sorts of extraordinary techniques, many of which I have never seen before. However, do you think you can block the reincarnation of the god of the underworld with that bow? Xiang Anning looked coldly at Lin Ling. The techniques I have are beyond your understanding. Blocking the reincarnation of the underworld is an extremely easy task. Lin Ling said indifferently. Ha ha ha, you probably don't know what the bloodline of the god of the underworld is. Even Senior Guang Zhengchan praised my reincarnation endlessly. He once said that if he was young, he wouldn't be able to break the reincarnation of the underworld. There is only one person of the same age in this world, and that person is also an expert who defeated Senior Guang Zhengchan. He is a god that you have to look up to. Now, die. Xiang Anning shook his head and smiled. His reincarnation of the underworld was a true god's technique. Although he had only scratched the surface, it was not something that ordinary people could block. After speaking, he released the mark from the underworld. In the sky, reincarnation opened and began to rotate. Even the saints on the ground had serious expressions. This was a technique that could kill them. If they entered the underworld, they would not be able to become a saint. Rumble. A terrifying suction force enveloped Lin Ling's entire body as if the gods were punishing him. Meanwhile, the bow in Lin Ling's hand was silently drawn, and a dragon god appeared on the bowstring. However, the reincarnation of the underworld in the sky was not something that he could block. It continued to drag him into the underworld. Seeing this, the people of the Tantric sect all shouted. They saw Lin Ling's body slowly floating toward the reincarnation of the underworld. Danger lurked everywhere. First arrow, heavenly dragon's protection, good karma increases by day. However, at this moment, Lin Ling finally released the arrow. The arrow turned into a dragon god and shot toward the reincarnation of the underworld. This is one of the 8 divine powers of the dragon tribe. Only then did the Xian sect cultivators see Lin Ling's technique clearly, and their expressions instantly became serious. They did not expect that the battle between the top geniuses of the spirit state was actually a battle of the gods. One was the god of the underworld, and the other was the dragon clan. Both of them were gods left behind in the era of gods. Their light shrouded these juniors, and they fought again in the era of gods. Now, the battle between the two was no longer a clash of talent, cultivation realm, or ultimate martial Tao, but rather a clash of divine methods, to see who was stronger. Whoosh! The arrow shot into the netherworld reincarnation wheel, and the entire wheel of reincarnation stopped. Moreover, cracks appeared on it. This arrow was so terrifying. The reputation of the heavenly dragon protector was definitely not undeserved. Even Xiang Anning's expression changed greatly. However, the cracked samsara began to slowly move again. Although it was slow, it was clear that the arrow hadn't pierced through it. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more, one more arrow. Why didn't he come? I think you can only fire one arrow. It's my turn now. Seeing this, Xiang Anning could not help but laugh loudly. His laughter was very excited. He had blocked Lin Ling's arrow. My apologies, I just happened to be able to fire a second arrow. With the Emperor's help, Bodhi will not retreat. However, just as he laughed, Lin Ling's great sun calamity bow was drawn again, and a new arrow descended. This arrow was not from the dragon god, but the true inheritance of the dark sword. What? Xiang Anning never expected that Lin Ling would still have another arrow. The 6 mystical abilities of the dragon tribe could only be cultivated by the dragon god. Thus, Xiang Anning guessed that Lin Ling could barely cultivate one arrow, and that would be enough to sweep through the crowd. However, who knew that Lin Ling was not a member of the dragon tribe, but he could draw a second arrow, and this second arrow undoubtedly tipped the scales. After all, he had only scratched the surface of the underworld god's techniques, and Lin Ling's dragon tribe techniques were much more powerful than his. Whoosh! The second arrow shot into the sky. Kaboom! The netherworld reincarnation wheel, which was originally slowly rotating, was finally completely shattered by the second arrow. Xiang Anning's expression changed drastically, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, at this moment, an arrow shot down from the sky like a heavenly dragon, majestically shooting towards him. This made him open his mouth wide, and his face was filled with anxiety. I'll destroy your past, present, and future. Lin Ling's voice was like a deity's as it floated in his ears. Impossible, how can this be? Xiang Anning kept shaking his head. He had traveled the 9 states and fought against the geniuses of the 9 states, so he was full of confidence and thought that no one in the spirit state could stop him. However, now, a monster that was not weaker than the geniuses of the 9 states had been born here. Most importantly, this person was a nobody. Therefore, he could not figure it out and died with a grievance. Because I am the only person who defeated Guangzhenchan, the ghost genius Li Xiaoyao. At this moment, a faint voice suddenly appeared in Xiang Anning's ears, causing his pupils to constrict. Ghost geniuses should not be humiliated. He remembered this sentence. In fact, at this critical moment, he even remembered what the Lord of 10 Directions had said to him. The only battle that the Lord of 10 Directions master, Guangzhenchan, had lost was to the ghost genius Li Xiaoyao. You are. Xiang Anning roared, but it was too late. The arrow pierced through him, causing him to gradually turn into ashes as if he was illuminated by the sun. His past, present, and future were all killed. This also caused the spirit state to be thunderstruck. Lin Ling, 2 arrows shot the cycle of reincarnation. The ultimate weapon of the Tantric sect was indeed terrifying. This also meant that the number 1 genius of the spirit state had changed hands. It was Lin Ling from the Tantric sect. Everyone thought back to the final battle. They thought back to the beginning of the battle and the final battle. All of this felt extremely unreal. Of course, in the end, they seemed to see a dazzling light that illuminated the spirit province. That light was Lin Ling. In the end, they looked at the sky with dazed eyes. Other than shock and horror, there was nothing else in their eyes. Using battle to nurture battle. This guy is the craziest person I've ever seen. The Tantric sect master also muttered to himself. It was obvious that he was also scared out of his wits. It had to be known that it was not rare for a martial artist to make a breakthrough in the midst of a battle. Of course, a continuous breakthrough like Lin Ling was one of a kind. But the most frightening thing was that he had just made a breakthrough but was already familiar with his strength and could use any means to counter it. This was truly rare. Lin Ling, you killed Xiang Anning. I'm going to kill you. In the Xian sect, after a brief moment of absent-mindedness, everyone's eyes turned red. They were originally confident of victory, but it was all destroyed by Lin Ling. Now, even the number one genius was dead. This made them hate Lin Ling to the core. You bunch of ants. You're not worthy. Lin Ling looked at the Xian sect people indifferently. The disdain in his eyes was not concealed at all. Such words and such an expression were undoubtedly like adding oil to a fire. He killed the number one genius of the Xian sect and did not feel guilty at all. Instead, he said that they were not worthy. At this moment, even the sage who was unfazed by the collapse of the sky was completely enraged. He's Lin Ling. However, at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded in the sky. A sage descended from the sky. Master Rong, he's the Lin Ling you've been looking for. Chapter 31:17. The saints of the heavenly court had arrived. This sudden change caused the entire spirit province to become silent. Who is this person? He's so strong. The master of Tantra and the four heavenly kings frowned. Although they were all saints, they could clearly sense that this saint was even more extraordinary. Lin Ling also looked at the sky. Especially after seeing Longyang, he knew that the person was coming for him. You're from the heavenly court. Then, Lin Ling said indifferently, vaguely guessing something. You're right, I'm the brocade dust saint of the heavenly court. The old man lowered his head and looked down at Lin Ling as he spoke unhurriedly. The gaze with which he looked at Lin Ling faintly carried a hint of curiosity. You're Lin Ling, right? Come back with me. The martial god wants to see you. The old man wasn't sure if Lin Ling was the person he was looking for, but he didn't let him go. If you don't agree, I'll kill you on the spot. His next words caused the hearts of everyone in spirit state to tremble. It turned out that this saint from the heavenly court was actually here to kill Lin Ling. At this moment, the people of Tantric Buddhism were all shocked, as if they were facing a great enemy. Now that Lin Ling had become the number one person in Tantric Buddhism, they could not let Lin Ling die at the hands of the sage. As for the Tantric sages and the four heavenly kings, they had long known that the newcomers were not kind, so they were all prepared to fight to the death. However, the latter's strength was clearly stronger than theirs. Furthermore, he was from the heavenly court, so they did not know if they could defeat him. Capture Lin Ling. If he refused, he would be killed on the spot. Ha ha ha, great. On the other hand, on Xianzong's side, Lord Xianzong and the four heavenly kings all laughed loudly. Their excitement was even greater than when they broke through. It turned out that they were not helpers, but enemies. This Lin Ling is so unlucky. He actually offended someone from the heavenly court, and a saint at that. Men, bring a table and chairs over. Bring some good wine. Let's enjoy the show. Lord Xianzong had been waiting for Lin Ling to die, so naturally, he was satisfied. Senior saint of the heavenly court, if you need any help, Sir Xianzong. We will capture Lin Ling for you. The four heavens and the heavenly court's faces. After all, the heavenly court of the heaven saint of the heavenly court, heavenly kings, dragon. Note. Even the Tsang Dragon Hall couldn't stand it anymore. One of the saints shouted angrily, "What are you all doing?" Lin Ling is from the spirit state and he might even become the realm monarch in the future. The Tsang Dragon Hall was left behind by the gods. If it was before, they wouldn't have stood up for Lin Ling. But now, Lin Ling was the most promising candidate to become the next realm monarch. According to the rules of the gods, they had to protect Lin Ling. What does it have to do with us? The one who wants to kill Lin Ling is the saint of the heavenly court. If the Azure Dragon Hall is not convinced, you can go and provoke them. However, Lord Xianzong had an indifferent expression on his face. Moreover, he'd unknowingly picked up a bunch of grapes and was eating as he spoke. His words caused those saints to tremble with rage. Then, all the saints looked at the saint in the sky. "Senior, there must be some misunderstanding. I don't care about that. As long as his name is Lin Ling, I must take him away. If your spirit state wants to stop me, then you must consider whether or not you can withstand the wrath of the heavenly court." The old man said indifferently. A golden incense burner appeared in his hand. Green smoke drifted out from the incense burner. It was like an orchid, like a musk deer, like a cloud, like a crane. The incense burner was in the shape of a toad. There were 2 blue dragons carved on the side. It looked extremely extraordinary. Lin Ling's eyes instantly lit up. He recognized the incense burner. On the other hand, the Azure Dragon Hall saints felt a strong pressure from the incense burner. They knew that the heavenly court had to take Lin Ling away today. "Junior Lin Ling, you're very bold. You actually dare to provoke the heavenly court time and time again. In fact, I'm very curious about your actions. Can you tell me why you're doing this?" The old man finally looked at Lin Ling. His tone was full of dignity. "Lin Ling, hurry up and answer. The heavenly court saint is asking you a question." Before Lin Ling could speak, Lord Xianzong and the 4 heavenly kings spoke one after another. They reprimanded him in the tone of a senior. "He's young, but he's so impudent. A person like this won't amount to anything in the future." "That's right. I think he'll only amount to this for the rest of his life. Tell us why you're so cruel and heartless. Otherwise, don't blame the spirit state for putting righteousness before family." Once these words were spoken, the saints of the Azure Dragon Hall cursed in their hearts. The entire spirit state was the same. However, Lin Ling didn't care about what Lord Xianzong said. He smiled calmly. I knew the heavenly court would be very curious. However, do you really want to know the answer? Speak." The old saint nodded immediately. He was indeed curious about Lin Ling. First, with Lin Ling's strength, why did he provoke the heavenly court time and time again and kill the martial god's disciples? Second, with Lin Ling's strength, why was he able to succeed time and time again? Even a 5th stage half-saint had died at Lin Ling's hands. All of this was a mystery. Because I was under someone's orders. Lin Ling stopped smiling and said calmly. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire spirit province fell silent. The old saint frowned. Under someone's orders? He pondered for a moment. Everything seemed to make sense. The heavenly court was spread throughout the 9 states and was the most powerful force in the post-God era. Ordinary people wouldn't dare to provoke them. Lin Ling was just one person. Unless he was stupid, he wouldn't do something like this. This meant that Lin Ling did indeed have someone backing him up. There should be more than one person behind you, right? The old saint asked again. Since Lin Ling dared to provoke the heavenly court, there might be a powerful force behind him. Yes, we're an alliance. Lin Ling nodded lightly. The old saint's eyes finally lit up. What alliance? Even Xing Shiyun and the others were shocked. Lin Ling had a powerful alliance behind him. Although this news was shocking, it seemed to make sense when they thought about Lin Ling's speed of growth. Let's take a look at this sword first. Old man, do you think I can take this sword with my strength? Lin Ling didn't explain anything. He waved his right hand and the true inheritance dark sword appeared. This made the old saint even more convinced. The true inheritance dark sword was his master's sword. Without the corresponding divine language, he would die if he even got close to the sword, let alone control it. Therefore, the old saint was even more convinced of Lin Ling's alliance. What alliance? Also, I want to take this sword back with me. The old saint's breathing quickened. If he could find out about the alliance behind Lin Ling and take the true inheritance dark sword back, it would definitely be a great achievement. Originally, he wanted to inform martial god Qilin immediately and ask the Heavenly Court's elites to come. However, he didn't think so anymore. He wanted to take such a great achievement for himself. Hurry up and tell me who's behind you. Chapter 31:18. Getting someone else to do the dirty work. Lin Ling laughed coldly when he saw this. He looked at the saint and said, I want to say it as well, but the members of the alliance are watching over me. If I say it, then I'll definitely die. So, I don't dare to say anything until those members of the alliance leave. Moreover, Senior Saint, I'm in a dilemma. If I don't provoke the Heavenly Court, the people from the alliance will kill me. If I provoke the Heavenly Court will kill me. I hope that Senior Saint can help me escape from my misery and put in a good word for me in front of the martial god. I hope that you can spare my life on account of my youth and ignorance. Lin Ling's words were like a string of cannons. When the Saint Elder heard it, he nodded slightly. If Lin Ling had a powerful alliance behind him, then Lin Ling was indeed helpless. I'll spare your life. Now, tell me who's watching you, the Elder said. Spare your life. With these words, Lord Xianzong and the others were displeased. Lin Ling had escaped another calamity. They hurriedly said, Lin Ling, you can escape death, but you can't escape punishment. Your cultivation will be destroyed. Now, tell me who's watching you. In their opinion, even if Lin Ling didn't die, his cultivation would be destroyed. In this way, Lin Ling without cultivation would be at the mercy of others and would no longer be valued by the Azure Dragon Hall. However, the Saint Elder nodded at their suggestion. This made Lord Xianzong and the others overjoyed. However, before their joy faded, Lin Ling's angry voice sounded. It's the 5 of them. He pointed at Lord Xianzong and the 4 heavenly kings. The 5 of them opened their mouths wide as if they didn't hear what Lin Ling said. Us. The grape in Lord Xianzong's hand fell to the ground. Yes, it's you. You forced me to go against the Heavenly Court and made me the vanguard, but you became the mastermind. Now that we're facing a great enemy, you want to sacrifice me to protect the secret of the alliance. You're the mastermind behind the scenes. Lin Ling said word by word. His expression was extremely serious. Shibaiqi. Is he calling me? I'm not called Shibaiqi, I'm not the person who's supervising you from behind the scenes. Sir Xianzong's expression was somewhat panicked. You are indeed not the only one behind this, because the other 4 are also behind this. Lin Ling said with righteous indignation. Boom! The hearts of Lord Xianzong and the 4 heavenly kings began to rumble. What was going on? They were just here to gloat and watch the show. Now, they had become the masterminds behind the scenes. At that moment, they felt as if they had eaten shit. They looked at the old sage and waved their hands continuously. It's you. The old saint stared at the 5 of them with murderous intent in his eyes. It's not us. We're innocent. Heavens, how can we be the ones behind this? That gaze directly scared Lord Xianzong silly. You're not the ones behind this. You're the supervisors. Otherwise, why would you be the only ones in the entire spirit state who want me dead? That's because after I die, the secret of the alliance cannot be exposed. However, Lin Ling also opened his mouth, as if he was sprinkling salt on the wound. Hearing that, the old saint stroked his beard and pondered for a moment. He felt that everything made sense. It seems that if you supervisors don't die, the true alliance won't surface. Purple smoke billowed from the incense burner in the old saint's hand and enveloped the entire spirit state. He was obviously going to attack. This made Lord Xianzong and the others almost kneel down. This was the greatest grievance they had ever suffered in their lives. Lin Ling, you've wronged us. Do you want to kill us? Soon, the five of them looked at Lin Ling. They knew that Lin Ling was causing trouble for them. Stop pretending, Shi Bai Qi. However, Lin Ling saw through their expressions and even gave them a groundless name. Shi Bai Qi. Who was that? Go to hell. The old saint couldn't care less. He activated the incense burner and suppressed it with the power of a saint. The entire spirit state seemed to be in a strange world, and that was the boundary formation. Roar! In the void, a frost dragon god formed from ice slowly poked its head out. It opened its huge mouth, and with a light exhale, the entire spirit state turned into a world of ice and snow. This was the true soul of a dragon god. Moreover, this dragon god slowly swam out. It was incomparably huge and its entire body was formed from ice. Its ancient aura almost made the people of the spirit state fall to the ground. Most importantly, there wasn't just one such terrifying dragon god. Next, hundreds of dragon gods also swam out and hovered in the sky of the spirit state. This caused the expressions of Lord Tantric Buddhism and the others to change drastically. Did Saint Brocade Dust have such a precious treasure and summon so many dragon gods? It could be seen that this saint's status in the heavenly court was definitely not to be underestimated. Last time, Lin Ling and I were in the Eight Gods' heavenly palace. We had to expend a lot of effort to defeat one dragon god soul, but there are so many here. It's a disaster. Xing Xian's expression was also extremely serious. As for Lord Xianzong and the others, they were all anxious. Although they were all saints, there were differences in strength. It was obvious that they were only ordinary saints. Senior Saint, please listen to our explanation. Go to the netherworld and explain to the god of the underworld. Unfortunately, the Saint Elder didn't care about nonsense. In his opinion, it was enough to capture Lin Ling, so these 5 people were dispensable. Therefore, the densely packed dragon god souls began to swim toward the 5 of them. This made Lord Xianzong and the others finally understand what it meant to be in great trouble. Century ruler. Stupid idiot. Suddenly, Lord Xianzong stared blankly at Lin Ling. He finally understood why Lin Ling called him century ruler. So it turned out that it meant a damned idiot. Lin Ling was using someone else to do his dirty work. He hurriedly roared, wanting to let the Saint Elder understand everything. Unfortunately, it was too late. After the dragon gods rushed over, they all turned into crystalline statues. They were simply unstoppable and couldn't be more dead. Facing the dragon gods of the dragon race, a saint could only do so unless he had all the ancient power of the spirit state. However, half of this power was on Lord Tantric Buddhism. Before turning into an ice statue, there were only 3 words in Lord Xianzong's mind. Am I a stupid idiot? Dead. Everyone on Lord Xianzong's side was at a loss. The 5 strongest people of Lord Xianzong had died just like that. Moreover, these 5 people were saints. For many people, they had heard a rumor since they were young. As long as saints didn't die, the universe wouldn't be destroyed. This meant that saints were immortal and indestructible. But now, they knew that this was just a rumor. Saints could still be destroyed. Lin Ling is so scary. Then, they looked at the blue-robed youth in horror. Although they weren't sure if Lord Xianzong was the supervisor, they were sure that Lord Xianzong and the others were killed by Lin Ling. Longmiang frowned. She vaguely guessed that Lin Ling was using someone else to do his dirty work. However, she didn't reveal Lin Ling's true identity. In her opinion, as long as Lin Ling could die, that was enough. Chapter 31:19. Counterattack. It's your turn. Speak. As expected, the old saint began to look at Lin Ling. Lin Ling smiled and spread his hands. In fact, there is no alliance. I just don't like the previous 5 people, so I borrowed your hand to destroy them." When these words were spoken, there was no doubt that Spirit Province was greatly shocked. The old saint frowned. "Are you messing with me? It doesn't matter if I'm playing with you or not. All you need to know is that it won't be easy for you to catch me," Lin Ling said casually. His appearance undoubtedly made Longyang frown. She didn't know why, but when she saw Lin Ling's calm appearance, she had a bad premonition. Even though Lin Ling was facing a sage, he still felt the same way. "Looks like I can only use force." The old saint didn't care too much and immediately tried to grab Lin Ling. In fact, he didn't really believe Lin Ling's words. However, to him, killing experts like Lord Xianzong was as easy as blowing off dust. Moreover, whether this was true or false, as long as he caught Lin Ling, the truth would be revealed. Seeing this, the master of Tantric Buddhism and the others no longer hesitated. They all attacked, risking their lives. A bunch of ants. The old saint smiled disdainfully. "We have the final say in the world of the spirit state. It's not up to you to kill whoever you want." Although they knew that the dragon gods around them were very powerful, the Tantric sect would not allow anything to happen to Lin Ling. Therefore, Xing Shiyun and the others spoke up. The saints of the Azure Dragon Hall looked at each other and went to battle. "Are you crazy? Are you planning to provoke the heavenly court for a brat?" At this moment, the old saint was a little surprised. "This is not a brat, he is the realm monarch of the spirit state." A saint from the Azure Dragon Hall roared. His words shocked the spirit state. Everyone's gaze landed on the blue-robed young man as they didn't expect the new realm monarch to be Lin Ling after the end of the era of secret revelation. This was especially true for the people of Tantric Buddhism. They were all extremely excited. Lin Ling had said this before, and it was true now. Realm monarch? Humph, he has the life to become a god emperor, but he doesn't have the life to enjoy it. The old saint said disdainfully. His eyes were filled with mockery. Rumble. At the same time, the masters of the Tantra sect made their move. The saints of the Azure Dragon Hall also made their move to fight against the terrifying ice and snow dragon gods in the sky. In addition, the ancient power also arrived with a deafening sound. An enormous spirit province divine palace descended from the sky. Clearly, the Vajrayana masters were able to hold on for a longer period of time because the Azure Dragon Hall saints had also joined in. Of course, the ancient power that Lord Tantra controlled was only half of that of the spirit state, so it was only a matter of time before he was defeated. Do you think you can withstand the sunshine ice heaven furnace left behind by Master? In truth, the shock in the old saint's eyes had deepened. If it wasn't for the treasure in his hand, he would definitely not have been able to stop so many saints. Fortunately, he had such a precious treasure. Then, he would slowly enjoy the final struggle of these weaklings. I'll let you see what it's like when 1,000 dragons pass away. At the thought of this, the old saint puffed out his chest. Perhaps being able to kill so many saints in this lifetime made him feel extremely proud. Rumble. Under his voice, even more ice and snow dragon gods appeared in the void of the spirit state. This also caused many people in the spirit state to be worried. The masters of the Tantra sect looked at each other, smiled bitterly, and unleashed their full strength. They knew that a battle of life and death had arrived. However, for the sake of the spirit state, they were not afraid. Their bones and lives could be left behind, but thousands of years later, their legends would still be spread in the spirit state. I'm sorry, but I'm here to change the world of the spirit state. The old saint formed a complicated seal with his hands. His gaze quietly fell on the purple smoke floating in the distance of the spirit state. Finally, he formed a seal. This was the secret to using the sunshine ice heaven cauldron. It was passed down by his master. According to legend, this divine cauldron was left behind by a god. It came from the Dragon Slayer tribe during the era of the gods. This tribe had an irreconcilable feud with the dragon race, so the dragon gods that they slaughtered were all sacrificed in the divine cauldron. Later on, this divine deer was obtained by his master, and now he was borrowing it. He had once heard from martial god Qilin that when he first obtained this divine cauldron, his master fought until the heavens and earth collapsed and the sun and moon lost their light. In the end, he returned with the treasure. This also made him admire martial god Qilin even more. He knew that in this world, other than his master, no one could control the divine cauldron. A bunch of ants and dogs, die. A smile appeared on the saint's face. It was a smile of pride and bloodthirst. In the sky, 1,000 dragons passed. The scene was extremely shocking. One had to know that those were all dragon gods. However, just as the old saint thought that the massacre was about to begin, something unexpected happened. Those ancient dragon god souls swam over in an orderly manner. They ignored the masters of the Tantra sect and the others and swam toward the old saint. This stunned the masters of the Tantra sect and the others. The Azure Dragon Hall sages were also stunned in the sky. The 4 heavenly kings rubbed their eyes, afraid that they had seen wrongly. However, the truth was that the dragon gods did not care about them. They even swam past them. The ancient dragon heads did not even look at them. What kind of trick are they playing? The master of the Tantra sect was tongue-tied. Be careful. Perhaps the heavenly court sages are preparing a trump card. After all, they are from the heavenly court. This is no small matter. The Azure Dragon Hall sages said one after another. Clearly, they did not believe that a miracle would happen. However, the truth was that not only did the dragon gods ignore them, but they had also started to attack the old saint. As for the old saint, he frowned at first. He thought that he had made a mistake with the seal. Then, he set up a new seal. This time, he was shocked. This was because after he set up the seal again, he had completely lost contact with the Sunshine Ice Heavenly Cauldron. In the end, he began to panic. This was because 1,000 dragons were coming to kill him. And this was an encirclement and killing formation. Most importantly, he was the target of the siege. Wow! He roared without caring about his image. He threw out the treasures that martial god Qilin had given him one by one. Only then did he barely block the first attack of the ice dragon god. He began to flee in the sky pathetically. However, he knew that it was only a matter of time before he was killed. His mind was completely muddled. What was going on? Wasn't he activating the 1,000 dragons killing formation? Why did the dragons not kill the enemy but come to kill him instead? Instinctively, he looked into the distance and realized that the purple smoke that enveloped the spirit state had been changed. The trajectory of the purple smoke had changed. Moreover, he saw a blue-robed figure busily setting up a seal around the purple smoke. Fuck, it's that kid. At that moment, the old saint realized what was going on. That kid had unknowingly changed the divine formation of the divine cauldron. Chapter 31:20. 1 year later. The Tantric sages were also puzzled. Lin Ling actually changed the heavenly court saint's treasure. Of course, at this moment, they could not be bothered to think so much. If they did not make a move now and allowed the saint to regain his breath, they would definitely be the ones to suffer. Good disciple, can we make a move? Xing Shiyun shouted excitedly. Sure, the frost dragon god souls are only targeting that old sage. They won't bother with you guys. Lin Ling's voice drifted over from afar, carrying a hint of exhaustion. Previously, when he saw the golden incense burner in the hands of the saint, he had already guessed the origin of the incense burner. It was because that treasure belonged to Li Xiaoyao. If the saint had relied on other methods, Lin Ling would have been helpless. But relying on that kind of treasure? This was simply a gift for Lin Ling. Ah, hey, dragon god, I'm your master. The old saint was on the verge of going crazy as he shouted incoherently. Although his strength was very strong, there were too many dragon god souls in the sky. There were no less than 1,000 of them. How could he block them all? What infuriated him was that he had used the life-saving treasure to escape the encirclement of the frost dragon god. However, as soon as he broke out of the encirclement, the sages of Tantra and the other sages attacked him without any regard for their lives. They forced him back and surrounded him again. "Master, save me." After an unknown period of time, the old saint let out a weak cry and finally turned into a huge ice sculpture. After smashing into the ground, it completely turned into ice dregs. Seeing this, the spirit state cultivators were at a loss. One had to know that after the heavenly court saint arrived, the spirit state acted as if they were facing a great enemy. However, just as they were about to fight to the death, the heavenly court saint died. Moreover, he died very miserably. He was surrounded and killed by his own treasures. Could it be that the furnace that summons the dragon god is a little crazy? I think so. It said that the more ancient a treasure is, the harder it is to control. That old man played with fire and burned himself to death. Huh, serves you right. Following that, laughter rang out in the sky. As for the tantric sages and the others, they were still dumbfounded. However, their gazes quickly landed on Lin Ling in the distance because Lin Ling was walking over with a golden incense burner in his hand. Looking at this scene, the guesses in the tantric sex group's minds were confirmed. The Sunshine Ice Heaven Furnace, the sacred object of the Dragon Slayers. Back then, Li Xiaoyao saved the last member of the Dragon Slayers and that person gave this treasure to Li Xiaoyao. Later, it disappeared from Huanyu. I didn't expect to see this treasure again after thousands of years. Looking at the exquisite golden incense burner in his hand, Lin Ling sighed. In Li Xiaoyao's previous life, most of his treasures were stolen by martial god Qilin. Today, he was able to retrieve 2 of these treasures. Good disciple. Xing Shiyun shouted from the front. However, Lin Ling ignored him for the time being. Instead, he looked at the distant sky where a beautiful woman stood. It was Longnyang. At this moment, Longnyang's face was filled with seriousness and shock. However, after Lin Ling looked at her, she gradually regained her composure. Most importantly, she didn't run away. Lin Ling took a step forward and walked towards her. He said calmly, "I knew you would definitely come back. You're the first man to humiliate me. I'll use my entire life to take revenge for this." A gentle breeze blew through Longnyang's long hair, revealing her beautiful face. However, her beautiful eyes were filled with determination. This was because being raped by Lin Ling in the past was her lifelong nightmare. "You're just harming yourself in the end." Lin Ling shook his head. He didn't sympathize with Longnyang. If he didn't want to harm her, she wouldn't have ended up like this. However, to Lin Ling's surprise, Longnyang's calmness had exceeded Lin Ling's expectations. Could it be that there was something else she was hiding? "Cultivator, you can't kill her." As expected, a man in a golden robe and a dragon crown slowly approached Qin Nan. He was also a martial saint, but one could faintly see a pair of dragon horns on his head. Dragon tribe. Seeing the middle-aged man, Lin Ling's expression changed slightly. However, he could sense that even though the middle-aged man was from the dragon tribe, he wasn't a peak expert. Otherwise, he would have shown himself a long time ago. This meant that he was intimidated by the incense burner in the old martial saint's hand. The heavenly court won't let the brocade dust saint's death go. Most importantly, the heavenly court knows that you, Lin Ling, are in the spirit state. It won't be long before the heavenly court sends out their experts to surround the spirit state. The middle-aged man said with his hands behind his back, "So, you might as well think about how to deal with the heavenly court's anger. Cultivator, I have to admit that you're really powerful. You dare to provoke the heavenly court alone and kill their experts again and again. However, the power of the entire heavenly court isn't something you can fight against. What are you trying to say? Lin Ling asked as he looked at the middle-aged man indifferently. The middle-aged man looked deeply at Lin Ling and said, I know that you have dragon bones on you. These dragon bones have been around for a long time and are no small matter. Most importantly, ordinary people don't have the ability to refine dragon bones. So, hand over your dragon bones and I'll ask the dragon tribe to help you. After learning that Lin Ling had taken Longyang's dragon god's bone, he was also shocked. There was actually such a capable person in this world. One must know that Dragon Mother's dragon god's bone was cultivated using a forbidden technique. It took her 49 years to cultivate it. To completely succeed, it would take her 81 years. Looking at Lin Ling, he had the dragon god's bone, but he didn't seem to need to cultivate any forbidden technique. The difference was too great. After all, dragons and humans were fundamentally different creatures. I refuse. Lin Ling shook his head directly. Then you're on your own. I'm taking Longyang with me. As a trade, I'll borrow the dragon tribe's power to buy time for you and let the heavenly court arrive a year later. How about it? The middle-aged man said. Why should I believe you? Moreover, I don't think you're capable of that. Lin Ling pondered for a moment and smiled. Ha! Hearing this, the middle-aged man immediately laughed mockingly, as if mocking Lin Ling for not knowing the power of the dragon tribe. Currently, the heavenly court is looking for a guy called Lin Ling in the entire 9 states. What if there are many Lin Ling in the 9 states? The middle-aged man suddenly said. His words made Lin Ling's eyes light up. He understood the middle-aged man's thoughts. At present, there weren't many people in the heavenly court who had seen Lin Ling. Therefore, they hadn't confirmed who the real Lin Ling was. The only thing they could do was to kill the wrong person and not let them go. However, if a large number of Lin Ling appeared in the 9 states, the heavenly court would definitely search for them one by one. By the time they finally found the spirit state, it would be a year later. And this was what the dragon tribe did. One had to admit that this could indeed buy some time. All right, I promise you. Lin Ling immediately nodded. Deal. I'll take Longyang away. You, take care. Chapter 31-21. Seeing an old friend again. At the same time, Xing Shiyun and the others also rushed over. Xing Shiyun frowned and asked, Disciple, can we trust his words, 60%? Lin Ling looked afar and said. In his eyes, the sky of the spirit state was filled with smoke because the enemy would arrive in a year's time, 60%, this means that the mysterious middle-aged man is keeping his promise. But we only have a year's time. Tantra Master frowned and his eyes lit up, why don't we let Lin Ling become the realm monarch? If Lin Ling were to become the realm monarch, then he would be able to fully control the ancient power of the spirit state. At the very least, he would be able to stand his ground against the heaven court. After all, the ancient power of the Mi Xian sect and Mi Xian sect was combined while Lord Tantric only controlled half of the ancient power. It's too late. To become the realm monarch, one must ring the spirit state's divine bell and go through the Son of Heaven's mandate. The whole process will take 3 years. The Azure Dragon Hall's saints also agreed with Lin Ling becoming the realm monarch. But in such a short period of time, it was too difficult. Take the Qing state for example, Lin Ling ringing the Qing state's divine bell and the third princess becoming the Qing monarch, it would take more than 3 years. Then what should we do? Everyone immediately started to panic. There's still a year's time, we don't need to panic. At this time, Xing Shiyun said and everyone nodded. Lin Ling looked at the Tantra masters who were discussing and he felt warmth in his heart. He bowed to them and said, I'm sorry, I'm a burden to all of you. If it wasn't for him, the heaven court wouldn't have come to the spirit state. This was something that Lin Ling knew very well. What are you talking about? You're from the spirit state, you're being xenophobic. Let me tell you, Lin Ling's business is our business. Who knew that Tantra Master was angry, thinking that Lin Ling was treating them as outsiders? Disciple, your words are too harsh, I don't want to hear it. It was the same for the constellation clouds. This caused Lin Ling to bitterly smile. He felt extremely guilty because his master had treated him as one of his own, yet he had brought so much trouble to the spirit province. However, since it was caused by him, Lin Ling, would definitely solve it in exchange for a clean sky in the spirit state. I'll leave this sunshine ice heaven furnace in the spirit province. It can block the attacks of many saints, and it can even kill saints. This can also stall for more time. Then, Lin Ling looked into the distance, at the purple smoke in the corners of the spirit state. Can you really control that divine furnace? Xing Shiyun and the others were shocked. Lin Ling smiled and did not explain anything. His gaze suddenly fell on a white-haired young man in the crowd. Meng Lu, can you do me a favor? Amidst the crowd, the cold Meng Lu smiled and nodded. Do your best. Although I can't fully resist the heavenly court, I should be able to resist a portion of their power. Thank you. Lin Ling said gratefully. He asked Meng Lu for help, of course, to invite the tomb guardians of the 9 states' 10 evils. Although not all of the tomb guardians would come, a small portion would be enough. Sigh, if only I could find Senior Lu Chen. Then, Lin Ling sighed softly. Senior Lu Chen was a big shot of the Creation Alliance. With his help, he would definitely not be afraid of the heavenly court. Unfortunately, Senior Lu Chen was elusive, and Lin Ling would not be able to find him. Moreover, Lin Ling realized that he had unknowingly begun to confront the heavenly court head-on. At night, Lin Ling sat cross-legged in a corner of the Tantric sect's valley. Behind him, the ancient tree of Mount Yu swayed. Yu and the others were also cultivating. They wanted to use this short 1 year to increase their strength as much as possible. I'm currently at the first stage of the half-saint realm. I can defeat half-saints at the 5th stage, and I have all kinds of divine abilities. Lin Ling was evaluating his strength. His soul power had reached 7,000 steps. The celestial demon body had the power of 300 stages and the speed of 50 stages. On the other hand, his fire elemental energy center was much weaker, and the spacetime divine steel still could not unleash its full power. Otherwise, he would have been able to form the 5th Dantian. The calamity-destroying Sun Bao is currently my trump card. It would be great if I could use it for the 3rd time. Lin Ling said regretfully. However, he was not in a hurry. The divine abilities of the dragon tribe could not be learned in a short period of time. On the other hand, the scabbard, his trump card, was not very powerful at the moment. With only 30% of the demonic sword, it was obviously too weak to fight against intermediate and advanced half-saints. Unless he found a new broken sword. Moreover, the headless old man did not seem to have much time left for him. I have to leave the spirit state temporarily. Lin Ling thought to himself. At the same time, his eyes lit up as he thought of the money that Li Xiaoyao had left behind at Fu Xing Manor. He could take it out now. Next, he planned to leave the spirit state with Yu, Di Shi Tian, and Meng Lu. They would go to the larger divine land to find cultivation resources. On the 2nd day, Lin Ling made a suggestion. Yu and the others agreed, but Xing Shiyun and the others did not agree. However, knowing Lin Ling's character, they did not stop him. After Lin Ling and the others left the spirit state, they first went to Qing state and found that there were no major issues there. Then, Lin Ling decided to go to Yu state. Yu state was bigger and the Fu Xing Manor there would be able to obtain the treasures left behind by Li Xiaoyao. The treasures were actually not that big. This caused Li Xiaoyao to be too lazy to take them after he became stronger. However, to the current Lin Ling, it was a huge treasure. This was because there were many treasures of heaven and earth. If they were used to set up a formation and cooperate with the divine furnace, they would be able to kill gods and Buddhas. From the spirit state to U state, they had to travel for a month. Lin Ling and the others did not feel much pressure, so they were chatting happily. TSK, U state's divine dream has opened. There are countless treasures. Yes, U state is ranked third in the 9 states, but it welcomes any cultivator from the 9 states. It's not like Yen state and Miao state. This is the territory of the gods. Ordinary people cannot approach. Moreover, U state's Emperor Yu is the most hospitable. While they were traveling, they could hear the cultivators discussing something. As they got closer to U state, Lin Ling and the others saw the universal inn. This was an inn built in the middle of the universe. It was extremely unique. Lin Ling was used to it. On the other hand, Yu and the others were curious. They stayed for 3 consecutive nights. Of course, while they were staying, Lin Ling also asked about their next destination. After another 3 days, they arrived at U state. On the surface, U state was similar to the spirit state. However, it was more vast and boundless. Moreover, there were all kinds of strong cultivators gathered there. U state could also be called a business paradise. Moreover, there was only one city. The size of this city could be imagined. Lin Ling and the others entered the city and walked towards one of the branches of the Fu Xing Manor. However, before they got close, they saw a familiar face. It was Sunset's Glory, the former vice manor master of Qing State's Fu Xing Manor. Chapter 31-22. Meeting a soulmate in a foreign land. What are you doing? You want me to go through so many procedures? Are you a pig? A crisp voice rang out from the entrance of Fu Xing Manor. A man wearing a beast-shaped armor was reprimanding a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man lowered his head and smiled apologetically, looking very awkward. Dear customer, I'm just following the procedures. If you want to take the treasures from Fu Xing Manor, you have to go through a certain examination. The middle-aged man said. And that was the rule. That was because Fu Hang Manor was a place to store money, and it was also a place to store treasures. If one wanted to take out a treasure, one must have the corresponding method or key. However, the armored man did not take out the key and instead forced the middle-aged man to take out the treasure for him. This was obviously a little too much. Bullshit. I'm telling you, you better hand over all the treasures from the Xian to the 250th word. Otherwise, don't blame me for whipping you. The armored man snorted coldly and raised his hand. Sir, I can't do that. The middle-aged man gritted his teeth and continued to speak with a smile. Pa! A crisp slap landed heavily on the middle-aged man's face. Dog, you dog, why aren't you obediently doing your job? The armored man reprimanded after slapping him. Slapping the faces of the people from Fu Hang Manor in public was undoubtedly an extremely honorable thing to do. Therefore, although the man looked angry, his face was also filled with pride. As for the middle-aged man, he gritted his teeth but didn't dare to do anything. He continued to smile and salute. It seems that you still don't know your identity. You're just a servant, a dog. That man raised his hand again, as if he was about to hit. But at this moment, an old man wearing a brocade robe walked out from the magnificent door. Behind him were 2 attendants. They looked like people from Fu Xing Manor. Sunset Glory, what are you doing? After walking out, the old man first shouted at the middle-aged man. Manager, this person wants to take his treasure, but he didn't provide a key or password, so I have to follow the rules. The middle-aged man bowed to the old man. Hearing this, the old man frowned. You're really a useless fellow. You've been in Fu Xing Manor for so many years, but you can't even handle such a small matter. In my opinion, you shouldn't have come to Yuzhou. You should have stayed in Qingzhou, that small place, and continued to be the deputy manor lord. As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at the armored man and smiled. I wonder if this little friend can provide the purple gold jade pendant. Sure, but your Fu Hang manor makes me very unhappy. If I take out the purple gold jade pendant, I will make this dog kneel down and apologize on the streets. The armored man replied with a cold snort. It doesn't matter. This person doesn't know how to do things and has no achievements in Fu Xing manor. Don't even mention kneeling down and apologizing. Even if you break one of his arms, Fu Xing manor will not stop you. The old man laughed. These words caused the middle-aged man's pupils to narrow. The surrounding people also sighed and shook their heads. It seemed like there was a difference in status in Fu Xing manor. The middle-aged man's status was obviously lower than that of a dog's because he had no achievements in Fu Xing manor. Open your dog eyes and look. Next, the armored man waved his right hand and a purple gold jade pendant appeared. The word Fu was engraved on it and it looked extremely exquisite. A purple gold jade pendant, TSK, this is a higher status than a jade pendant. I didn't expect this person to be a purple gold VIP of Fu Xing manor. That middle-aged man has eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. However, no matter how I look at it, I feel that the armored man did it on purpose. Perhaps, he wants to find a way to prove his superiority. The surrounding people started to discuss animatedly. As a guest of Fu Xing manor, they were also divided into grades. There were black and white, gold and purple jade pendant grades. Above that, there were black and white, gold and purple jade pendant grades. The jade pendant was obviously of a higher grade than the jade pendant. According to legend, there were king grade, emperor grade, and honorable grade spirit tablets. Of course, this only appeared in legends. Luo Riyao, look at what you've done. You're really a piece of dog shit. You've just been transferred to Yuzhou and you can't even handle such a small matter. What's the use of you? In my opinion, Yuzhou is not suitable for you. You'd better go back to your hometown. After seeing the purple gold jade pendant, the old man looked at Luo Riyao and scolded him badly. Luo Riyao could only clench his teeth and lower his head. He was also cursing in his heart. He had just arrived at Yuzhou and what good results did he have that made the people of Fu Xing manor look down on him and suppress him? Kneel down and apologize. Kneel down. The old man was also a member of Fu Xing manor. However, he obviously did not intend to help him. He even wanted Luo Riyao to be driven away. Yes, I'm a purple gold VIP. You've offended me and you're still not kneeling down and apologizing. Sigh. The armored man crossed his arms and said lazily, let me tell you, I'm an escort of the godly escort mansion. I've always been in charge of escorts in Zhuzhou. I've stored a lot of treasures and money in Fu Xing manor. So, if you offend me, you've offended a VIP. Sigh. Godly escort mansion. I didn't expect this guy to have such a big background. Sigh. No wonder this guy is so arrogant. He's just showing off his superiority. Sigh. Yes, the godly escort mansion is an escort mansion in Zhuzhou. The escorts there are ordinary martial artists. As long as they succeed in escorting their escorts, they'll be able to reach the sky in one step. From an ordinary person, they'll suddenly become a saint. Naturally, they want to get back all the grievances they've suffered. Poor middle-aged man. He's obviously a punching bag. Sigh. Around the streets, there were even more whispers. Why aren't you kneeling down? Sigh. The armored man's nostrils were almost facing the sky. I'll endure it. If I do a big business in the future, I'll definitely pay you back 10 times. Sigh. Luo Riyao cursed in his heart. He walked out with a smile on his face. Then, he swept a glance at the gloating faces on the street and sighed again. When a tiger goes down to the plains, he'll be bullied by dogs. If he stayed in Qingzhou, he could live a good life. However, people always want to go higher. When he came to Yuzhou, he immediately turned from a local tyrant to a slave. Now, he even had to kneel down to some trash. However, he was also a person who wanted to do big things. He endured the humiliation and immediately knelt down. However, when his knee was about to touch the ground, a foot suddenly stopped him. Is there a need to? At the same time, an indifferent voice rang in Luo Riyao's ears. This voice made Luo Riyao stunned. He suddenly raised his head and saw a man wearing a large cloak standing quietly in front of him under the dazzling sun. Under the brim of the hat, there was a familiar smile. Lin Ling. Luo Riyao's whole body shook. Hee, old ghost, I didn't expect us to meet again. A voice quietly came from afar. Luo Riyao looked over and immediately smiled excitedly. It was Di Shi Tian, Meng Lu. Tears almost flowed out of Luo Riyao's eyes. In Yuzhou, a place where dragons and snakes mixed together, Luo Riyao was able to meet someone from Qingzhou. It was tantamount to meeting a bosom friend in a foreign land. Moreover, this person was Emperor Qing behind Qingzhou. Without waiting for him to calm down, Lin Ling had already helped him up. Luo Riyao's expression changed slightly. He looked at the old man from Fu Xing Manor with fear. Chapter 31-23. After picking the manager, it was time to pick the deputy manor head. Sunset Glory, who told you to get up? Don't you want to stay in Fu Xing Manor anymore? The old man reprimanded. His words made Luo Riyao tremble. I'll call him. However, at this moment, Lin Ling also spoke up. Luo's face was full of disbelief. Although Lin Ling was the Emperor Qing behind the scenes, this was Yuzhou. You called him? The old man's gaze swept over, and the disdain in his eyes grew even stronger. This young man was very young, and his strength was not strong. He did not understand where his courage came from. Old man, who do you think you are? You actually want my friend to kneel. Lin Ling also arrived in front of the old man and glanced at him. He realized that the old man was in the Saint Realm. As expected, there were many Saint Realm experts in Yu province. However, he was not too afraid. After all, this was Fu Hang Manor. In this place, one's strength was not important, but one's status. Little fellow, are you talking to me? Hearing this, the old man couldn't help but laugh loudly. He was laughing at Lin Ling's ignorance. At the side, the armored man also laughed mockingly. Instead, he began to explain, this person is the manager. His status is only below the vice villa master. You're saying that he doesn't have the qualifications? Also, that unlucky bastard is just a servant. To put it bluntly, he's just a lowly dog. Do you think they can compare? As soon as he finished speaking, the armored man laughed out loud. The entire street was filled with laughter at this moment. Lin Ling, on the other hand, didn't know what they were laughing about. Who said he was a dog? He asked curiously. Where did the rules come from to prove that he was a servant? Hearing this, the old man laughed even louder, not bothering to explain anything. Luo Riyao smiled bitterly and said, Lin Ling, in Fu Xing Manor, one's status is evaluated based on one's contribution to Fu Xing Manor. I just came here, so I don't have any customers. That manager has been in Yuzhou for many years and has countless customers, so his position is higher than mine. You dog, at least you know your place. Hearing this, the old man nodded and spoke. I see. Lin Ling suddenly nodded and said thoughtfully, this also means that in Fu Xing Manor, the guests are gods and have the highest authority. Is that so? If it's a high-ranking guest, that is indeed the case. Even if the deputy manor master is here, he must treat the guest like an emperor. Luo Riyao immediately nodded and said. Don't tell me you want to tell me. Are you a noble guest? At this time, the old man sized up Lin Ling's group with a disdainful gaze. These people were at most a platinum-ranked jade token customer, they probably hadn't even reached the jade pendant level. Excuse me, how many times have you been to Yuzhou's Fu Xing Manor? Lin Ling shrugged. It's my first time here. Lin Ling shrugged and said, it's my first time. Then let me ask you again, do you have the jade pendant? The armored man couldn't help but laugh again. It seemed like this guy was as idiotic as Luo Riyao. There's no pendant at all. Lin Ling said honestly. As soon as he finished his words, the streets burst into laughter. It was as if they were going to overturn Yuzhou City. These people were indeed from the countryside. They didn't have anything and didn't know anything. The most important thing was that they dared to speak with such confidence. One had to say that the ignorant were fearless. While the crowd was laughing, Lin Ling had already walked toward the old man and slapped him. Slap. The crisp sound of the slap was heard. It directly stunned the old man and made the laughter on the street disappear instantly. The old man's eyes narrowed. I'm here for some business, who asked you to stop me? Also, do you have the right to stop me? After the slap, Lin Ling said indifferently. The old man was stunned again. Although the guests have a godlike status in Fu Xing Manor, that's only for the high-ranking guests. It doesn't include a first-time visitor like you who doesn't have the jade pendant with you. Now, you dare to hit me? Are you trying to say that I'm not qualified to serve you with my status? The old man was so angry that he laughed. If it weren't for the fact that there were too many people around and he didn't want to ruin the reputation of Fu Xing Manor, he would have already killed this young man. You are indeed not qualified. However, Lin Ling said indifferently. His words made the street even more silent. Ha! Beside him, the armored man looked as if he had seen the funniest joke in the world. He held his stomach and said, Are you trying to say that only the deputy manor master is qualified to serve you? As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Ling shook his head and said, Not even the deputy manor master is qualified. The crowd on the street was dumbfounded. How arrogant was he? Only then did he dare to say such words. One had to know that the deputy manor master of Fu Xing Manor in Yuzhou was an extraordinary existence. He was at the peak of the sage realm. Not to mention Lin Ling, this young man, even if a sage came, the deputy manor master wouldn't need to show any respect. It seems like you're dead meat. The old man kept shaking his head and pronounced Lin Ling's death sentence. Although Fu Xing Manor treated its guests like gods, the premise was that Lin Ling was a guest. Now, it seemed that Lin Ling wasn't a guest at all. What are you doing? It seemed that the noise at the entrance had attracted the attention of Fu Xing Manor. Therefore, a dignified middle-aged man walked out of the magnificent entrance. Moreover, many guests walked out of Fu Xing Manor as well. After so many years in Fu Xing Manor, very few people dared to make such a ruckus at the entrance. Deputy Manor Master. Seeing this, the old man's expression changed. So did Luo Riyao. The middle-aged man frowned slightly. He looked dignified without being angry. The old man hurriedly said, It's Luo Riyao. His friend is causing trouble here. He took the initiative to criticize Luo Riyao. If the deputy manor master was angry, then Luo Riyao would definitely be chased out of Fu Xing Manor. Hearing this, the middle-aged man looked at Luo Riyao with cold eyes. The latter's heart trembled subconsciously. Your manor master Fu. However, before the middle-aged man could speak, Lin Ling had already looked at him and walked towards him slowly. The deputy manor master was puzzled. What was this young man, who was only at the first heaven of the half-saint realm, trying to do? Slap. The crisp sound of a slap was heard again. Lin Ling told him what he was doing. He was slapping the deputy manor master's face. This slap was like a slap to everyone's heart. Everyone subconsciously touched their faces, which were filled with fear. As for Luo Riyao, he was stunned. Slapping the deputy manor master's face. Slapping a saint's face. And at the entrance of Fu Xing Manor. Most importantly, slapping the deputy manor master after slapping the manor master. His legs turned to jelly and he almost knelt on the ground in fright. He could foresee the future. This group of people would definitely die. Ha, ha, ha ha ha. Ha. The old man was laughing. He was laughing at Lin Ling's craziness. He was laughing at Lin Ling's insanity. It was fine to slap him, but he even slapped the deputy manor master. He knew that Luo Riyao must be regretting it so much that his intestines turned green. Just as he was about to speak, the deputy manor master stretched out his hand to stop him. Instead, he looked at Lin Ling and said, "Do you know what the Fu Xing Manor relied on to survive for so many years?" Ha! Do you know what the Fu Xing Manor relied on to spread throughout the 9 prefectures? Do you know? Do you know what the Fu Xing Manor relied on to gain the respect of the 9 prefectures? Do you know? Chapter 31-24. Seeing an order is like seeing a god. That's right, but it doesn't mean that everyone is a guest. Let me tell you, the reason why Fu Hang Manor has been passed down for so many years is because of its inviolable strength. Boom! After the Vice Manor Master finished speaking, a terrifying amount of boundary essence was already brewing in his palm. He wanted to kill Lin Ling in front of Fu Hang Manor's gate. He wanted to let everyone who entered Fu Hang Manor know that although they treated their guests like gods, not everyone could humiliate Fu Hang Manor. This also meant that not everyone was a god. Die, it's best if you can kill Luo Riyao too. He has someone backing him up in Fu Hang Manor, but this time, those people can't protect him. Boom! The old man beside him was extremely excited. Obviously, he couldn't wait for Luo Riyao to die. In fact, the Vice Manor Master had already made his move. However, Lin Ling was still standing there like a pine tree. Instead, he stretched out his right hand and drew something in front of him. Suddenly, a complicated and mysterious mark appeared quietly. Finally, a mark as big as a stone mill floated in front of Lin Ling. That imprint made the old man laugh even louder. Was this kid crazy? The knife was already at his neck, and he was still drawing. Even the people around the street were dumbfounded. They could even imagine the scene of blood splattering on the street. Seeing an order is like seeing a god. However, at this moment, a majestic voice came out from Lin Ling's mouth. At the same time, the sage's attack arrived. It blew Lin Ling's long hair wildly. Death seemed to have arrived. However, at the crucial moment, the palm stopped abruptly. The Vice Manor Master's pupils were trembling as he stared at the mysterious mark. Seeing an order is like seeing a god. This sentence caused his heart to tremble. Unfortunately, except for him, no one else could understand that mysterious mark. Even the old man kept clamoring, occasionally shaking his head and sighing, what a pity for such a young man. Slap. However, before he finished sighing, Lin Ling's palm landed on the Vice Manor Master's face again. The Vice Manor Master didn't dare to fight back at all and bowed in respect. At this moment it was as if he had seen a god. This attitude, this change, made everyone dumbfounded, dizzy, and almost drunk. Not only did that ignorant person of the younger generation not die, he even gave the Vice Villa Master another slap. Most importantly, the Vice Manor Lord was actually bowing. Even Sunset Dazzling felt like he was dreaming. He looked at Lin Ling and realized that Lin Ling was standing there with one hand behind his back, looking like a god. Are the 13 blessings still around? Ignoring the gazes around him, Lin Ling spoke indifferently. Replying to the guest, Lord 13 Blessings is still here. He is in Yen state. The vice manor lord didn't dare to be negligent and said respectfully. At this moment, his heart was rumbling like thunder. This was because the mark Lin Ling had inscribed on the Fortune Merchant Manor's divine token had surpassed the jade token and jade pendant, surpassing the purple gold and platinum divine token. It was a divine token that stood at the pinnacle of the Fortune Merchant Manor. Unlike ordinary jade pendants, this kind of customer didn't need to wear anything. They only needed to carve the corresponding mark. This was because these customers had a long history, and some of them were experts from the era of deities. A mere jade pendant couldn't be preserved for so long. And such a customer could only be seen once in 100 years in the Fortune Merchant Manor. This also meant that this godlike customer had left a precious treasure in the Fortune Merchant Manor. Normally, the one who received him was the strongest Fortune Merchant Manor, 36 blessings. Since I am in Yen state, I will reluctantly let you receive me. Previously, I gave you 2 slaps. Do you accept it? Lin Ling said again. Yes, I accept it. I hope that you can be magnanimous and forgive Lin Nanshan's mistake. The vice manor lord could only bow respectfully. However, I am still not convinced. You can't do things more than 3 times. You still owe me a slap. Should I be the one to slap you? Do it yourself. Lin Ling said. I don't dare to trouble you. I will do it myself. The vice manor lord's heart trembled, and he slapped heavily. Puff! Several teeth were shot to the ground by that slap. From this, it could be seen how powerful that slap was. This made the street even more silent. The old man, who was still laughing, was dumbfounded. As for the gloating armored man, his face was incomparably pale. Vice Manor Lord, what happened? He is just a young man who is still wet behind the ears. After shaking his head, the old man asked in fear. Our Fortune Merchant Manor treats our guests like gods, but in recent years, there have been very few godlike guests. But today, we are lucky to have one. And he is. The vice manor lord immediately replied. Him. Hearing this, the old man's heart thumped. He asked again, does he have a king divine token? No, he is above the king divine token, the imperial divine token. When he heard the last sentence, the old man's heart almost jumped out of his body. How could this be? How could an imperial divine token appear in the hands of a young man? His expression kept changing. Then, he knelt down with a thud and crawled toward Lin Ling. Dear guest, you're a magnanimous person. I was wrong, I was wrong. I don't dare to trouble you. I'll give myself 300 slaps. If there's one less, you can break my legs. The change in his attitude could be said to be 180 degrees. At this moment, he was like a slave who had seen a god. Lin Ling smiled and stepped on the old man's shoulder. You are really a wretch. That's right, I am a wretch. The old man said with a smile. Then, he slapped himself countless times. His beard had all been knocked off. His teeth had all been knocked out. You seem to be the owner of the purple gold jade token. I wonder if I can make you kneel down. As Lin Ling stepped on the old man, he looked at the armored man and asked. To him, Luo Riyao was his benefactor. If he dared to make Luo Riyao kneel down and apologize, it would be a humiliation to him, Lin Ling. He had to avenge Luo Riyao. I am not from the Fortune Merchant Manor. You have no right to order me. The armored man's heart trembled, but he said firmly, I am from the godly escort manor. I am someone you can't afford to offend. Although he was very prideful, anyone could tell that he had a guilty conscience when he said the last sentence. Hearing this, Lin Ling smiled and did not say anything. However, his eyes were looking at the armored man calmly. His eyes were majestic, as if he was a god. Plop. In the end, the armored man's heart collapsed and he knelt down. Although Lin Ling did not have the right to order him, Lin Ling had an imperial grade divine token. His background was definitely not to be underestimated. Most importantly, he felt that even if he refused, the deputy manor head would still take action against him. Although the fortune merchant manor treated their guests as if they were gods, it was obvious that he was not as good as Lin Ling. Trash, I thought he had a backbone. In the end, he knelt down just by looking at him. The surrounding people said with disdain. Subsequently, their gazes all turned towards Lin Ling. They had never imagined that this ordinary-looking young man would actually have such a powerful background. Now, the person receiving me is Luo Riyao. Is this okay? Chapter 31-25. Take back the treasure. Yes, yes, this is Luo Riyao's good fortune. After today, he will be the manager of Fu Xing Manor. The vice villa master immediately said with a smile. Then he looked at Luo Riyao and said in a dignified manner, Luo Riyao, you have met a noble person, why aren't you greeting the noble guest? After he finished speaking, he felt that his tone was too dignified. He quickly slapped himself and said with a smile, don't mind my tone. I'm a little used to it. I hope that you can put in a good word for me when you return to the headquarters. One had to know that imperial-level divine decrees were usually received by the 36 blessings of the headquarters. If an ordinary person could receive one, then they would be able to reach the heavens in a single step and be promoted to an official rank. It could be said that even if he did not receive a single guest in the Yuzhou branch of Sunset Shine, as long as he had Lin Ling, he would be a high-level manager. In other words, Luo Riyao's status would be higher than his in the future. At this moment, Sunset Sun stood there in a daze, as if he was dreaming. He had been here for several years and had always been a lowly existence. But now, he soared into the sky with a single step and his status was even higher than the Vice Manor Lords. Congratulations, congratulations, Sunset Glory, you've finally made it. I'm afraid that it won't be long before you become a Manor Lord. Many people from Fu Xing Manor were smart people. They walked out with smiles on their faces and congratulated Sunset Brilliance politely. Of course, their eyes were filled with envy. Congratulations to you, congratulations to you. Luo Riyao finally reacted and laughed excitedly. Then, he looked at Lin Ling, smiled and said, they treat me like a god. You don't have to. As soon as Lin Ling said that, the Vice Manor Lord immediately knew the relationship between Lin Ling and Luo Riyao. He had already secretly made up his mind that after tomorrow, he would definitely curry favor with Luo Riyao. Go in. After that, Lin Ling took the lead and walked into Fu Xing Manor. Both of you, kneel down before I come out. When the voice entered the two old men's ears, their wry smiles became even stronger, especially the old man. He had already finished 300 slaps, but he couldn't help but slap himself again. That was because he had missed an important guest. He regretted it. He was filled with hatred. Why couldn't they recognize Mount Tai? Divine guests only appeared once in 100 years, and they usually only appeared in the Yen state and Miao state. Today, such good luck appeared in front of him, but he missed it. After entering Fu Xing Manor, the entire Fu Xing Manor was respectful and courteous, and Lin Ling also treated them with indifference. On the contrary, Yu Yu and Sakura were still in shock. They didn't expect Lin Ling to have such a high status in Fu Hang Manor. Long story short, I'm here today to take the treasure. In the end, they arrived at a large hall. Lin Ling spoke briefly to the Vice Manor Lord. The Vice Manor Lord nodded and led Lin Ling to a secret chamber. This secret chamber was extremely spacious and was surrounded by powerful enchantments that isolated everything from the outside world. This is the highest level sealed cave abode in Fu Xing Manor. After so many years, this is the first time my branch has been opened. The Vice Manor Lord exclaimed. Lin Ling nodded and said, you may leave. Yes, guest. If you need any help, please let me know. The Vice Manor Lord quickly left. After all, they had no right to know what the treasure left behind by the guest was. In the secret chamber, Lin Ling sighed as he looked at the empty sky. Then, he formed a complicated seal with both hands. This was the key to opening the treasure. After so many years, the treasure left behind by Li Xiaoyao can finally be taken out today. Rumble. The void rumbled and then shattered like glass. A void space appeared, and Lin Ling walked in. Inside, the spiritual energy was extremely dense. Even after countless years, the treasures on the ground still hadn't changed much. This was the advantage of having an emperor-level guest. The treasures stored could remain unchanged for thousands of years. As for the treasures, there were many rare heavenly treasures and countless royal crystals. With these heavenly treasures, I can set up a powerful enchantment to protect the spirit state. Sigh. Lin Ling let out a light breath. In order to fight against the heavenly court, he had gone all out. After collecting all the treasures, Lin Ling left the secret chamber. Outside the secret chamber, the Vice Manor Lord had been waiting there. After seeing Lin Ling, he immediately bowed. Of course, he didn't dare to ask Lin Ling what he took. That was beyond his authority. I wonder if this guest can meet Lord 36 Blessings. Sigh. The Vice Manor Lord said with a smile. I'm not free for the time being. Sigh. Lin Ling shook his head and refused. He wasn't sure if Martial God Qilin was paying attention to the treasure because Li Xiaoyao had mentioned it to Martial God Qilin in the past. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, it was better to leave immediately. By the way, has anything big happened in your state recently? Sigh. Lin Ling walked along the corridor with the Vice Manor Lord as he asked. If it's a big matter, then the divine dream has opened. This has been the rule of Yu state for hundreds of years. In the 9 states, except for the Yen state and Miao state, everyone can participate. Of course, the prerequisite is that you must have a certain background. The Vice Manor Lord said. Oh, what's so special about this divine dream? Lin Ling asked curiously. It's a land of God's treasures. However, saints can't enter. There are countless treasures inside. TSK, if I wasn't a saint, I would also want to participate. A land of such great treasures. Emperor Yu actually announced it to the public. Although it seems like Emperor Yu has suffered a loss by announcing the divine dream to the public, in fact, the arrival of the powerhouses of the 9 states will also stimulate the trade of Yu state. This will be more beneficial to Emperor Yu. After all, Yu state is the largest trade center of the 9 states. The Vice Manor Lord said with a smile. That's true. By the way, can the Vice Manor Lord help us get some identities? Lin Ling was obviously looking forward to the divine dreamland. Although he had obtained a large amount of treasures, the amount of treasures needed to arrange a powerful ancient barrier array was beyond his imagination. Moreover, he needed to burn money for his cultivation. Therefore, it was better to be prepared. No problem. When the two arrived at the main hall, they saw Yu and the others chatting with Sunset Brilliance. When Sunset Brilliance saw Lin Ling, he immediately bowed respectfully. Previously, through the conversation between Yu and the others, he learned that Lin Ling had become a realm emperor. This greatly shocked him. One had to know that although the Azure State seemed to be the world of the third princess, everyone knew that behind the Azure Emperor was a retired emperor, and that was Lin Ling. Now, Lin Ling was already the God Emperor of 2 divine lands. He couldn't imagine what Lin Ling had experienced in the spirit state. Moreover, he sighed in his heart. This was because when he first met Lin Ling, he knew that this child's name would shake the 9 states. He didn't expect that today, his prophecy would come true. As for Lin Ling's future, perhaps the sky was the limit. Yu, we're going to the divine dream land. Since we've encountered such a grand event, we naturally can't miss it. Divine Dreamland. Colliding with the powerhouses of the 9 states. Interesting, interesting. Colliding with the powerhouses of the 9 states is a minor matter. Instead, obtaining harvests is a major matter. Don't forget, we only have a year. Good. Lin Ling, this time we'll definitely reap a great harvest. After some discussion, everyone agreed to go to the divine dreamland. This was because this was an opportunity that was delivered to their doorstep. I'm going too. Sunset Brilliance wasn't a saint, so he naturally wouldn't miss out on this opportunity. Let's go together. With the reputation of the Azure State and Spirit State, we'll clean out the divine dreamland. Lin Ling smiled and nodded. His words caused the Vice Manor Lord's eyes to twitch. A foreboding feeling rose in his heart. Chapter 31-26. The Divine Dreamland opened. In front of the Vice Villa Master's surprised eyes, Lin Ling and the others had already left. After arriving at the city, Lin Ling and the others didn't have time to stroll around. They found an inn and settled down, quietly waiting for the Divine Dreamland to open. Moreover, Lin Ling knew that when the Divine Dream opened, they would have to face all the half-saints of the 9 provinces. Thus, in order to increase everyone's strength, Lin Ling had refined a massive number of spirit symbols. These spirit symbols were similar to the ones Lin Ling obtained from the 8 gods' heavenly palace. They were not weak at all. However, the materials needed to refine these spirit symbols were priceless. In the past, Lin Ling didn't have so much money. But after obtaining Li Xiaoyao's treasures, Lin Ling was able to afford it. And most importantly, if the harvests he obtained in the Divine Dream were greater, then Lin Ling would have profited. Thunder note symbol, first note symbol, middle note symbol, final note symbol. With my current materials, I can refine middle note symbols. A spirit symbol is equal to an early half-saint's all-out attack. Moreover, if I refine a final note symbol, I can refine 6. Storm note symbol. It can increase the speed of 10 worlds. It is also divided into different grades. The highest grade is 30 worlds. Origin flame break note symbol. It is divided into primal, ancient, and absolute. It can ignite the flame of divinity and its strength is equal to a 5th level half-saint's all-out attack. In the inn, Lin Ling's eyes became increasingly bright. His hands constantly formed enchantments, burning materials with the flames of space and time to refine spirit symbols. This caused Lin Ling to sigh with emotion. A martial artist's cultivation was, in truth, burning money. With money came strength. Of course, these spirit symbols were consumable items. Unless one was truly rich, the average person wouldn't be willing to refine them. This was because a truly powerful martial artist believed in their own strength. They would rather use cultivation resources to cultivate than use them on one-time use treasures. Time quietly passed. A massive number of spirit symbols began to float out from Lin Ling's body. His forehead was dripping with sweat. Even though his soul force had been greatly enhanced and he had regained all his memories, refining these spirit symbols still left him exhausted. Apart from the materials needed to set up the formation and the emperor crystals needed for cultivation, all the materials have been used up. After a long time, Lin Ling looked at the colorful talismans around him and nodded in satisfaction. Now, he could only hope that the Divine Dreamland would have a great harvest. The next day, Lin Ling called Yu and the others over and distributed the talismans to everyone. Second brother. Aren't these the talismans we snatched from the 8 gods' heavenly palace and Dragon Tooth City? Indra looked familiar and immediately exclaimed. Big brother, those spirit talismans can only injure the initial stage of the half-sage realm. How can they be compared with my spirit talismans? The strongest spirit talisman that I have refined can injure an expert of the 5th layer of the half-sage realm. Moreover, the spirit talismans of the late stage of the half-sage realm can be used at the same time. Lin Ling said with a smile. Chi. Yu and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. Especially Xian Yuan Gu. She wasn't even a half-step saint, but she could defeat a half-step saint. However, these spirit talismans can only be used once. Unless it is a critical moment, do not use them carelessly. Lin Ling exhorted again. Everyone nodded. Powerful treasures also had their disadvantages, and that was that they couldn't be used too many times. Before long, Sunset Shine also rushed back. Where is Lin Ling? He hasn't left seclusion yet. The Divine Dreamland is about to open. If we don't register now, then it will be too late. Just as he finished speaking, he saw Lin Ling and couldn't help but smile. Lin Ling also gave some souls to Sunset Shine. He reminded him that the goal of this trip was to seize the treasures of the Divine Dreamland. The more the better. 1 year from now, the Spirit Province will welcome the iron hooves of the Heavenly Court. Thus, in this year, we must forge the Spirit Province into an iron plate. Okay, I will not disappoint you. Sunset Shine also understood the situation of the Spirit Province. He immediately nodded. Soon, everyone left the inn. When they arrived outside, they saw that the Yu Province was extremely lively. Many half-step saints and half-step saints had appeared on the streets and were gathering in one direction. So many experts. Look under that flag, there is not a single martial immortal realm expert. Sakura swept his gaze across the crowd and saw a large group of people proudly walking forward. The person in the lead was holding a flag that shone with boundless radiance. Those are people from the Divine Escort Mansion. They are a huge escort agency that is spread throughout the 9 prefectures. Sunset Shine explained. The Divine Escort Mansion was a gathering place for escorts. Anyone could join and receive missions from the agency in exchange for rewards. Moreover, the Divine Escort Mansion was extremely united. If something happened to any of them, the nearby escorts would come to help. It was because of this that the Divine Escort Mansion was able to gain a firm foothold in the 9 prefectures. I didn't expect there to be an escort agency in the 9 prefectures. Sakura sighed with emotion. That's for sure. The 9 prefectures are vast and boundless. There are countless dangerous places. If a martial artist is lucky enough to obtain a treasure, he can't guarantee that he will be able to bring it back safely. Therefore, at this time, he has to rely on the escort agency. The escort agency can travel throughout the 9 prefectures and complete missions that ordinary people can't. Sunset Shine said. Moreover, anyone can join the escort agency. The minimum requirement is to be a martial immortal realm expert. If you can complete missions repeatedly, you can become a gold-tier escort and be valued by the Divine Escort Mansion. Everyone listened as they walked. Soon, they saw another group of powerful martial artists. Flying Dragon Organization. The leader of the group of martial artists held a black silk banner with a winged flying dragon embroidered on it. Assassin Organization. Lin Ling and the others' eyes flashed. It was another great force that was spread throughout the 9 prefectures. Our Fortune Manor also has people participating in the Divine Dream competition. Moreover, the Heavenly Court also has people participating. Generally speaking, as long as there is a famous force in the 9 prefectures, they won't miss such a grand event. Look over there, that is the Yu family. They are also the bloodline of Emperor Yu. And over there, that is the descendant of Divine Moon. Those are the people of Xiankong Island. As they walked forwards, Sunset Brilliance constantly explained, causing Sakura and the others to have solemn expressions. With the half-saints of the 9 prefectures gathered here, powerhouses were truly as common as clouds. I wondered if any of the 9 prefectures' 10 vicious are participating. I'm sure there are, but they're hidden in the crowd. Before long, Lin Ling and the others arrived at a wide square. There was a neat line in the square. Everyone was registering to enter the Divine Dream competition. Hehe, my sect said that as long as I can obtain a great harvest in the Divine Dream competition, my sect will marry my junior apprentice sister to me. I really envy you. But, my family also said that as long as I can obtain a harvest, my family will not teach me any martial arts. I will be allowed to choose one. You state's divine dream competition, that is a place where one can soar to the heavens. The square was extremely lively. Everyone was happily chatting with each other. The divine dream competition is a ruin left behind by a god. Wow! Hearing the voices all around him, Lin Ling's eyes flashed. He lined up with Yu Yu and the others. Out of the way, we are Empyrean Dark North's people. If you don't want to die, then get out of here. Chapter 31-27. Confusion. Empyrean Dark North. Just a bunch of clowns. You should see just how many powerhouses have gathered here. Someone suddenly sneered, his words causing the group of people to be stunned. Then, they no longer dared to be arrogant. This was because they could see that the heroes of the 9 provinces had gathered here. There were royal families left behind by gods, descendants of the 100 great bloodlines, and even influences that spread throughout the 9 provinces. Their Dark North Empyrean mansion clearly couldn't dominate this place. This way. The man in the lead clenched his teeth. Then, he chose a relatively low-key group and lined up. Scram! There were many groups in the square, but that didn't mean they couldn't provoke any of them. The group in front of them clearly had an ordinary background. In Lin Ling's group, many people frowned. They clenched their teeth and moved aside, lining up once more. This caused Empyrean Dark North's group to reveal proud smiles. Yo, where are the beauties? How about you join us? You bunch of men, get out of my way. Before long, the group of people arrived behind Lin Ling. The man in the lead narrowed his eyes as he spoke. This caused Dreamflow and the others to frown. They had never heard of Empyrean Dark North before. Perhaps he was from some great influence of the 9 provinces. But to tell them to scram? This was far too overbearing. I'll give you a chance. Scram! Sakura immediately said. These words caused Empyrean Dark North's group to be stunned. Moreover, those around them also frowned. They had also seen Lin Ling's group. Their strength was ordinary. In this divine dreamland, they could be called the weakest existences. After all, they didn't even have a 5th-level half-saint. To call them passers-by was already giving them enough face. But who knew that this group of people would actually tell Empyrean Dark North's group to scram? Although Empyrean Dark North's group wasn't strong, there were many of them. Moreover, they had a 5th-level half-saint. Say that again. The man in the lead coldly said. The people behind him also began to stir. Scram, scram, scram. However, just as they finished speaking, Sakura had already shouted scram 3 times. In any case, their origins were ordinary and no one recognized them. Even if they provoked some great influence, they might not be able to find them. Thus, Sakura was so unscrupulous. Hearing this, those from Dark North Heavenly Mansion laughed. This was a mocking sneer. Very good. If some great influence told me to scram, then I would accept it. But you? Do you think you are some great influence? The man in the lead had already walked out. His surging realm essence was like a tide. Whoosh! But at this time, and Dark North's, the man in the face, the Dark North's in the next moment, the Dark North, the Dark North, Dark North, Dark North, Dark North, Dark North, Dark North of him. He was a cultivator at the 5th level of the half-saint realm, yet he was being threatened by a single sword strike. For a time, he Dark North. Oh my god, that young man seems to be at the 1st level of the half-saint realm. To Dark North 10 to Dark North to you to it. Of Dark North. The 9 prefectures are boundless. There are all kinds of people. That guy might be from one of the 100 great bloodlines or a descendant of a deity. The surrounding experts began to whisper among themselves. Their words were filled with shock. To them, although it was rare for a first heaven half-saint to defeat a fifth heaven half-saint, it was still possible. However, to subdue the Empyrean Dark North in one move was more difficult than ascending to the heavens. Speak. Why are you not speaking? Lin Ling pointed at the Empyrean Dark North with his sword in hand and said. The Empyrean Dark North's face turned pale. He could not say a word. I'll let you speak. However, Lin Ling forced the Empyrean Dark North to speak. Most importantly, the Empyrean Dark North had called Yu Yu and the rest beautiful. He had even asked Yu Yu and the rest to accompany this group of men. This had touched Lin Ling's reverse scale. I don't know what to say. The Empyrean Dark North said fearfully. He had no choice but to lower his head when he was threatened by the sword. Since you don't know what to say, sing a song. Sing with a smile. Lin Ling's eyes flashed as he spoke again. Sing. The Empyrean Dark North's eyes narrowed. There were so many people watching. Was he going to sing? Clang. However, in the next moment, Lin Ling's sword was even closer to his neck. The cold air directly cut through the Empyrean Dark North's skin, causing fresh blood to gush out. Little boy, carrying that bag to school, I'm not afraid of the sun or the wind and rain. I'm only afraid that the teacher will scold me for being lazy and uneducated. I'm too ashamed to face my parents. Clang 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 clang. Instantly, the Empyrean Dark North's sobbing voice rang out. However, the Empyrean Dark North's face actually revealed a smile. Perhaps it was a smile that was uglier than crying. The Empyrean Dark North fell silent. Following that, many people covered their mouths and laughed. In the end, some people couldn't help but laugh out loud. He really sang. Moreover, he actually sang such a children's song. What a terrible song. Lin Ling also laughed. Then, he kicked the Empyrean Dark North's face and sent him flying. If you all want to sing, you can stay. Lin Ling looked at the Empyrean Dark North's people and said. We won't sing, we won't sing. The Empyrean Dark North's people fled in terror. To them, this blue-robed youth was far too terrifying. They couldn't see through his strength at all. He wasn't someone they could provoke. Continue lining up. Ignoring those fellows who bullied the weak and feared the strong, Lin Ling put away his sword. He held on to Yu Yu and the others' hands and slowly lined up. As for Sakura and the others, they laughed. They looked at the Empyrean Dark North's people with mocking eyes and also lined up. Big brother, this person is too arrogant. Endure for now. This divine dream has attracted powerhouses from all over the 9 provinces. That brat's background is definitely not small. I think he might be the descendant of the legendary Heavenly Demon Sword. Heavenly Demon Sword? The Empyrean Dark North's people let their imaginations run wild. Finally, they were filled with dread towards Lin Ling. This was because an ordinary background absolutely didn't have strength like Lin Ling's. In fact, in the entire Empyrean Dark North's square, there were many people paying attention to Lin Ling. Can you see it? Is he at the first level of the half-saint realm? I don't think so. A first-level half-saint world essence shouldn't be so strong. He must be hiding his cultivation. That's right. Moreover, I've cultivated the turbid earth divine eye. It is difficult for an ordinary person to escape my eyes, but he is still able to hide his cultivation. So, I guess he must have obtained the Cloud State's 3 mountains 5 peaks 7 clouds art. This sort of cultivation concealing divine ability is ranked in the top 3 of the 9 provinces. Could he be someone from the 7 Clouds sect? He is the descendant of the Cloud Emperor. Whispers could be heard among the crowd. Everyone was randomly guessing Lin Ling's identity. They all had their own opinions, but in the end, they all believed that Lin Ling's background was not small at all. Interesting. He is at the rank of the demon sword and also has 2 great desolate body talents. Chapter 31-28. A Dream of 3,000 Years. Everyone continued to register. Before long, it was Lin Ling and the others' turn. They naturally chose a random name so that the people of the 9 province wouldn't know their origins, especially the heavenly court. As for Lin Ling, he chose Son of Demon. Yu Yu chose Son of Dragon. Dream Flow and the others also had playful thoughts. They chose Son of Tomb, Son of Bone, and so forth. As Sunset Brilliance saw Lin Ling and the others randomly come up with names, he was dumbfounded. In all of Azure State, perhaps only Lin Ling and the others dared to act so recklessly in Emperor Yu's territory. My name is Death of You. When it was Sunset Brilliance's turn, he also subconsciously came up with a random name. The old man responsible for registering names was originally depressed over Lin Ling and the others' names. Why were they using Son of Heaven and Son of Heaven? How strange. But who knew that Sunset Brilliance's name was Death of You? This caused the old man's pupils to narrow. Such a heavy taste. Even an old man wouldn't let them off. No, I spoke too quickly. It's Son of Sun. Seeing the old man's surprised expression, Sunset Brilliance waved his hands in panic. Ha! However, the old man actually sighed, a look of regret on his face. This caused Sunset Brilliance to be stunned. Could it be that this senior had such a taste? You don't plan on considering it? However, as Sunset Brilliance was surprised, the old man's eyes were filled with hidden bitterness. No, thank you, senior. Sunset Brilliance hurriedly ran away, causing Lin Ling and the others to laugh out loud. As they continued forwards, a massive vortex of clouds appeared in front of them. This vortex was multicolored, like a dream. This was the divine dreamland. At this time, people were entering the vortex of clouds one after another. It was clear that this wasn't the first time that many people had come to this divine dreamland that only opened once every 100 years. They were all familiar with this place. As for Lin Ling and the others, they also entered. The entire process was like a dream that lasted for 3,000 years. This dream seemed to bring Lin Ling and the others back to their past lives. Then, they felt as if they had returned to the distant era of gods, the era when the heavens and earth were split apart. But soon, all of the dreams disappeared. When he reappeared, he was in a vast expanse of land. This land was like a continent abandoned by the gods. An ancient wind blew. It was lonely and silent. Lin Ling stood quietly on the ground and looked into the distance in surprise. Is this the divine dreamland? Yu Yu asked from the side. It's a very ancient continent. I'm afraid it's a place where the gods fought. Lin Ling nodded and looked around again. Sakura and the rest weren't separated and they were also looking ahead in surprise. In this ancient land, everyone had a feeling of insignificance. They even had the illusion that this place was very big, and that even saints had not been able to travel all over this place. Be on your way. Collecting his thoughts, Lin Ling indifferently said. As they moved forward, more and more people entered behind them. Just like Lin Ling and the others, they were shocked at first, but then they hurried on. Everyone was searching for treasures in the divine dreamland. Big Brother Ling, what do you think this broken stone is? It seems very mysterious. Before long, Yu Yu found a golden broken stone. She hugged the broken stone and ran back in an extremely cute manner. This stone is a bit unusual. Even Lin Ling was surprised. This was because even he couldn't see through this stone. It had to be known that in his previous life, Li Xiaoyao had loved the Tao of enchantments. Thus, he had searched for many treasures and read through many ancient texts. In this world, there were very few treasures that he couldn't see through. Put it away. Lin Ling smiled. If he couldn't see through this treasure, then it was definitely something extraordinary. Lin Ling, there's one here too. Yes. Not long after, Setting Sun's Glory came running back with a stone the size of a millstone. This stone was not only golden, but there were mysterious runes carved into its surface. It seems to be some sort of enchantment treasure. Yes. This time, Lin Ling saw something. What treasure is this? Yes. Hearing this, everyone looked at Lin Ling, their faces full of curiosity. But Lin Ling shook his head. This treasure is likely very large. There are many enchantments gathered around it, so I can't see through this stone. Yes. Then let's continue. I estimate that there are many more ahead. Yes. Everyone's spirits rose. This was because they had just entered and they had already obtained a treasure. From this, it could be seen how many treasures there were. But then, everyone saw people killing others to steal their treasures. Although there were countless treasures here, human nature was greedy. They looked at their own bowl, but they also stared at the pot of others. In addition, this place was so large that even if one or two people died, no one would know. Naturally, they became somewhat unscrupulous. Most importantly, not long after, someone set their sights on Lin Ling's group. What treasures did you find? Hand it over. Before they arrived, a sinister laughter sounded out from the distance. Then, 3 bald old men swaggered in, as if they were blown here by the wind. If you want treasures, ask my sword first. However, Lin Ling was not afraid of them since they were only at the initial stage of the half-saint realm. It's you. The 3 bald old men had just steadied themselves when they exclaimed in surprise. Obviously, they recognized Lin Ling. After all, not long ago, Lin Ling had defeated a 5th-stage half-saint expert in the square. They happened to be nearby. It's you guys. Son of the demon, son of the dragon, and you, Sun Dai. One of the bald old men's face was very ugly. How could they be so unlucky to encounter this group of freaks? He knew that this group of people was not ordinary. The person behind them was either a god or an emperor. Who is Sun Dai? I am son of Sun. Before Lin Ling could speak, Luo Riyao scolded angrily. Okay. You call me son of Sunday. Is that okay? We went the wrong way just now. If we have disturbed you, please forgive us. We will leave now. The 3 bald old men could not wait to leave this place. After they finished speaking, they turned around and left. Clang! However, just as they moved, a sword was shot from afar and stabbed into the ground in front of them. It was as if a huge door had blocked their way. Little ancestor. Looking at the extremely sharp sword, the 3 old men's hearts trembled. They smiled bitterly and turned around. Did you find any treasures along the way? Lin Ling asked expressionlessly. Well, there are quite a few. Hand them over and get lost. But then I will have to kill you. In the end, under threat, the 3 bald old men handed over all their treasures and left with their tails between their legs. They swore to themselves that they would stay as far away from these bandits as possible. Yu and the rest took their treasures and exclaimed in surprise. Wow, these 3 old men have a lot of golden stones. Lin Ling, what's this? TSK, this is a rank crystal. It can increase one's rank. It is left behind by a powerful god over a long period of time. This is a rank crystal. There are a lot of them here. Sakura and the rest were rubbing their hands excitedly. They did not expect that just robbing 3 old men would result in such a rich harvest. Chapter 31-29. The Wrath of the Heavens. This place is too big. Rather than slowly looking for treasures, we might as well steal from others. Suddenly, Lin Ling had an idea. This. You couldn't bear to do it. Think about it. Even if we don't steal from them, there are still some strong people that will steal from the weak. This is clearly the rule of the divine dreamland. Moreover, we only have a year left. If we continue to be soft-hearted here, then the ones to suffer will be Master and the others. Lin Ling persuaded, moreover, we will only steal from others, not kill them. Unless they want to kill us. All right then. Yu and Xian Yuangu looked at each other and nodded. As for Sakura and Dreamflow, they were both martial arts overlords. They naturally didn't have such scruples. Let's go. Then, Lin Ling waved his hand. After a long time, in an ancient mountain range, several figures were looking at a large field of spirit grasses in front of them, each of them laughing out loud. Huh, we're rich, we're rich. This is God seal-like grass. In the legends, this is something that can allow one to become a saint. Little Peach, after I become a saint, I want you to be my 27th concubine. Eat well and drink well, the light of a saint shrouds the 9 provinces. As these people looked at the large field of spirit grasses, they began to dance with joy. There was even an excited person who fell to his knees in tears. He looked up to the skies and roared, "Damn it, I robbed a bunch of poor bastards and there are only so many treasures. I might as well try my luck. When luck comes, not even a god can stop it." Bang! However, just as his words fell, a giant door came crashing down from the skies. Looking carefully, this was a giant sword. However, what came crashing down wasn't the blade, but the body of the sword. Fuck. That person was still kneeling on the ground. After regaining his senses, he could only leave behind these words. Then, the door came crashing down on him, causing him to faint. Even his soul entered a state of unconsciousness. The others were still dancing with joy, but they were all stunned. This was because a smiling blue-robed youth had already descended from the skies. "Who the fuck are you?" someone roared. "Look behind you." However, the young man shrugged and pointed into the distance. Rumble. At the same time, the huge white bone giant arrived. Its long halberd was like a hammer, smashing down heavily. Boom! Another person was knocked unconscious. Following that, boundless light shone as if the goddess of light had descended. A light fist smashed down like a hammer. Another person fell. Boom! Boom! After a few breaths, everyone was smashed to the ground and fainted. Not bad. The young man smiled as he stared at the large patch of spiritual grass. They were naturally Lin Ling and the others. Sure enough, relying on robbing is the best way to harvest. If it wasn't for this group of people croaking, we wouldn't have been able to find them. Sakura also laughed mischievously. Lin Ling glanced at the people who had fainted and hurriedly said, "There's no time to lose. Before they wake up, take these spiritual grasses away." "Brother Ling, this doesn't seem right. Why don't we leave them some spiritual grasses?" Xian Yuangu was a girl after all. She couldn't bear to do that. "Gu, you've heard it before. This group of people are not good people. They are also robbing other people's treasures. It's just that they didn't get much. How about this, we'll leave them one." Lin Ling said with a smile. "All right." Everyone hurriedly got busy and collected all the spiritual grasses. Then, they left indifferently. After an unknown amount of time, the people who had fainted on the ground quietly woke up one by one. Then, they saw that all the spiritual grasses had been looted. Only one spiritual grass was left, and it was bare. Damn! Only one spiritual grass is left. Under the mountain range, a bitter voice suddenly burst out like thunder. "Who are they? They don't play by the rules. They didn't even greet us and directly attacked us." Someone was so angry that his body trembled. "It seems to be the son of the devil, the son of the dragon, and the group of people who fucked you. Among them, someone recognized Lin Ling and the others. He was so angry that smoke was coming out of his 7 orifices. Fucked me. They stole my treasure and now they want to fuck me to death. There is no justice in this world. Without any suspense, the roars of anger in these people's hearts were like oil being poured onto a fire. Of course, this was only the first case. Following that, in the nearby area, many people were also robbed. And Lin Ling and the others didn't show any mercy. For the sake of the spirit province, they didn't care about what others thought of them. Moreover, they didn't kill anyone to steal their treasures, so they didn't feel any psychological pressure. However, the crazy actions of these people caused the nearby people to be filled with panic and anger. This was because Lin Ling and the others' attacks were mainly sneak attacks. Moreover, they didn't fight with their opponents. Instead, they directly threw out spirit talismans or surrounded their opponents. Often, their opponents wouldn't even be able to make a sound before they fainted. And this also caused many people to guess the origins of Lin Ling and the others. Some people had seen Lin Ling before and recalled the scene in the square. Some people hadn't seen him before and were confused by what had happened. They wanted to curse out loud. But generally speaking, everyone knew that several sons of the demon race had broken into the divine dreamland. Our harvests are increasing. If this continues, then the great array formation of the spirit province will become stronger and stronger. In the ancient ruins, Lin Ling and the others walked forwards, all of them extremely happy. However, the nearby area had already been plundered clean by them. Thus, they planned to continue forwards. There are more and more golden stones piling up. This makes me even more curious. Just what sort of treasure is this? Lin Ling inspected the treasures and couldn't help but lick his lips. That's right. From what we can see, these golden stones are already the size of a town and we still haven't finished collecting them. Dreamflow was also looking forward to this. This was because once these fragments accumulated, just what sort of colossus would appear. Moreover, this treasure came from the divine dreamland. It was definitely a great treasure left behind by a god. Hold on, do you want to leave this place? At this time, a cry of alarm sounded out from a hill in front of them. Then, a youth ran over from the hill. This youth's strength was at the 7th level of the half-saint realm. He had long purple hair and looked extremely extraordinary. Most importantly, his talent wasn't weak at all. Seeing this, Lin Ling and the others immediately raised their guard. Don't worry, I am not a son of the demon race. I just want to leave this place, so I decided to come with you. The youth spread out his hands, giving off an amiable and approachable feeling. Lin Ling sized up the youth and finally nodded. Although these newcomers were strong, if they joined forces then they would only need an incense stick of time to subdue them. Then let's go together. Lin Ling said. You also want to leave this place? Damn it, several bandits have appeared in this area. They've robbed all the nearby martial artists until they're poor. Now, no martial artist wants to stay here. The youth said as if they were close friends. Hearing this, Lin Ling and the others' eyes twitched. Wasn't this just talking about them? You also met those people. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.